8:30, so she's going to try to jump on the Zoom here in the next little while. Our topic for today is what we call our tools training. Are we good? No, not good.
No, it's showing you instead of the screen.
Oh, that's not a good thing
So
at
let me
all.
check.
Yeah. Let's see if I'm still screen sharing. Uh, how about now, Grace? Yeah. Okay. Very good. Very good. So how many in here are new? I know there are some that aren't new.
Like new to what?
New to the business, new to the business. How long have you been in? Are you brand new? Just, learning from the very ground up. This is really designed for you. Probably not as much for you too, but so today we just kind of want to touch on most of the websites and tools that we use on a regular everyday basis. Just things that you're going to see over and over, kind of give you a little bit of familiarity with it, maybe answer some questions that you have, and talk about some of the sites and things that we use. And the one that we're in, of course, every single day is our MLS. So we're going to start there and just kind of talk about some basics of our MLS. This is flexmls.com. I think you've all at least seen it some, even if you're brand new to the business. It's a pretty useful site. This is the way that mine looks when I open it up every single day. You can configure your desktop for the site in a lot of different ways by pulling these boxes around. Let's see if I can do it with, yeah. Anyway, this is customizable. You can move these boxes around to different places wherever you like them. The thing that I always like to talk about from the very beginning is this search bar at the top. That's a pretty useful search bar that can get you anything that is in the MLS that you need. If you want to search by a property address, you can put a property address in there. It will show you active, sold, closed, pending versions of anything with that address. If you're looking for another agent or another firm, you can put the agent's name or the firm name in there and search for it. Let's see there. If I can just, I've put Donna Talent in there and search. And if I'm online live, I may have to, I loaded these all up last night, so I may have to hit it again. Let's see here. There we go. There we are. Now then. There you go. So somebody calls up and says, hey, Donna Talent's got a listing in my neighborhood. I'd like some info. You don't have a clue what the street name is. You can put Donna in there, find her and then go down there and view her listings like that. So the search bar is very simple, but it's very useful. Again, you can search by the address, the agent name, the firm name. You can put Realty Executives in there and it'll show all of us in there. You just have to kind of sort through and see which one's the office that you're looking for. Let's go back home here. Yep. Well. Okay. So see this band right across the middle? That's what we call the favorites bar. That's a customizable bar. I've got those in the order of the things that I use most of the time. Usually the first thing up there is the quick search. I'm always, looking for comparable properties to do a CMA or whatever. So that's the thing that I go to usually the most. And then you'll see the things that I also use there. The simple search from CRS, which we'll talk about a little bit in a few minutes. Our offices listing, CMA, and all that. If you follow along to the very far right side of that and hit this reorder button, you will see everything that's on your search bar, and you can just pull those up and down as you like them. And, the quick search is what I always want to be first. So you can see I've got it at the top, but you can move those around as you'd like to. And if you save them, it'll reorder them for you. In order to add things to this search bar, if you will go to the menu right here, see where I'm clicking on the menu button right up there. It'll open the general menu for Flex. All of these things that have a yellow star beside them that you see there are things that I've added to my search bar up there, and you can do the same. You can either, you can add or take them off as you want them. But if there are things that you use over and over and you want them to be on that search bar, that's the way you can add them really, really easily. Let's see here. I always like to point out in Flex the help bar, which is right up here on the right-hand corner. Flex Help and Flex Academy, these video trainings, anything that we can do in Flex, that they've got a video for it. If you want to learn how to do map searching or whatever, if you want to learn how to do customizable CMAs, all that, there's video training for all of this kind of thing. Some of them are longer than others. Some of them are like coffee break. They call them coffee breaks. They'll tell you how to do anything that you want to do. If you want to search for something specific in there, just go up to the search bar there and do maps. Let's see. Let's try map search and see what it'll give me. Okay, I'll close that one. Go back to the help bar. Okay, so this is just the general help menu for Flex. You can see all the things that it'll do there. It'll teach you about the quick searching and how to do that. Let's see how to do a CMA, which we do that all the time. The help menus and the help things in this thing are very, very good. And you can get on there and look at them anytime. Like I say, some of them are shorter, some of them are longer, but they're awfully helpful. So I would advise you to come in here.
I don't want to come in here, but y'all know more than I do.
No, absolutely. I mean, you can come over here and help do this if you want.
I know nothing about
Oh, you do.
I know, seriously, I do not. And
Well, we're doing a little bit of everything. I know, that's why I already told him. I told Ronnie he need to be up here helping with this.
No, I'm lucky to sign up for running release on dollar. Like doing, y'all keep these deals together. Yes. Is it going okay?
Yeah, I think, well, at least our technical issues are good, so
Okay.
that's usually where I stumble up more than anything. It's good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Yeah. Let's see. Let's talk about I've lost quick search on there. I've got mine out of order. Let's see here. I'm gonna move quick search back to the top. Save. So let's talk about the quick search a little bit. I'm sure everybody's used the quick search feature on the MLS. Let's see. I think this is the view that opens when you open quick search, unless you've customized it. Does that look right to everybody? Is that the one that you usually see on a single family search? So let's say you're comping a house, or you've gone to see a house, you need to start looking for comparables. This is probably where you're going to come to start your search, to look for comparable sales, comparable listings, things that are pending, whatever. You can choose any of these features that you want to add into your search, and it will help you narrow things down. On mine, I have a template that I made up for my own residential search. It used to be an appraiser, so I used to appraise, or used to search a lot by zip codes and things like that. So there was kind of some things that I wanted on there, for doing appraisals or whatever. So this is the one that I kind of put together for myself. I wanted things like year built and acreage. And as I say, for myself, being in Blount County, having fewer zip codes, I search by zip code all the time. Because that kind of, helps me narrow down which side of the county I want to be on or whatever. But so I guess we could run a quick search. You can choose from all the different statuses that we have in the MLS. You can look at just closed listings. You can look at things that are active or coming soon, if that's, what you're looking for. if you're searching comps, and then you can start to narrow it down by area. It has all of our areas that are associated with the MLS by county, and all of that kind of thing in there. You can do, I search a lot by square footage. I search a lot by the age of the property, and of course, locations and all that kind of thing as well. It will give you, once you've done a search, it'll give you results and show them on a, probably need to narrow that down just a little bit. Let's see here. Go back to there. Yeah, there we go. Let's just put something in there. We'll look at closed. Blunt County. Here we go. So I just put some parameters in there. Houses built between 1980 and 1990 in the 37803 zip code. And then you will get a list of results, which you can go through and look at individually if you want to. I usually do. I look at a lot of pictures, especially if I'm trying to compare conditions of properties or whatever, and you can check them as you choose them over here, and it'll drop them into a separate category. You see up there at the top, right up there, there were 60 total results, and I've selected 3. If I was going to do a CMA or whatever, I would probably do CMA based on the ones that I have actually selected. And I can go over here and run a quick CMA from those right over there. It'll ask me if I want to use all the results or just the selected. I can do that, hit the selected, and then it will ask me about which type of CMA you want to do. This program allows you to do a full CMA that has pictures and all that kind of thing, which is especially useful if you're sitting down with a client, especially somebody that's very technical and likes to see figures and facts and engineering types. I hate to pigeonhole them, but they are a type for sure. But or you can run something that's quicker if you don't need as much detail. A lot of times I'll just run the statistical search, which just kind of give me a line result on how much something was listed for, high and low, what it sold for, high and low, some averages like that. So that's part of the CMA program that's in there. Do you guys use RPR? Have you used RPR a lot? I really like RPR. RPR is a free feature that's incorporated in our Flex MLS system. As somebody who used to do appraisals, I think I probably like RPR as well as anything. It's the closest thing that I've seen to something that kind of mimics an appraisal program. RPR, you can put in any property and it will run. Let's see here. Here we go. Let's just put something in there. Somebody give me an address. Let's just, I don't know. There we go. Let's try that. Okay, so that's a listing that I just closed a short time ago. RPR, you can put in any address that you want. So let's say somebody's called you to come look at a house and you're wanting to kind of start the process of comping it to see what it's worth and what you're going to suggest for them for a list price or whatever. RPR is a great tool to start with. It works a lot like we've all heard of Zillow and what they call their Zestimate, which is kind of based on nothing really, if the truth be told. I mean, Zillow pulls a lot of stuff from courthouse records. They don't, there's no, they never see the property, they just pull from data that's out there. RPR does the same kind of a thing, but it pulls from a lot more sources. So it's a lot more reliable data. And the thing I think I like the most about RPR, it will let me come in there on the property that I'm trying to comp and make adjustments to the property that I know apply. Like, for instance, if the tax records say that 1440 Wood Rush is a 3-bedroom house. Well, I know from having it listed, it was a 5-bedroom house. So I can come in into this program where you see refined value. I can go in there and tweak those parameters or those characteristics that it has to get a truer picture. So we put this property on the market for $599.9 and it sold for $599 within a day or two. And this is the first time I've seen that RPR thinks it's worth $595, $750. So we were pretty close, and that's why I kind of like RPR. I think it's a really super good tool. It, as I say, it's incorporated in the MLS. On mine, let me see if I can go back over here. Go back again to. Yes, go ahead. I've put it up here on my search bar so I can get to it quickly. Again, you can add it to your search bar by just going into the menu and choosing it. And let's see where it is. There it is. It's right here in this column. You can add it to your search bar there. So I think RPR is one of the best tools that we have for absolutely free. It will generate, hold on, see a minute. Here, let's try this. There it is. Okay, so again, here, see the property facts as I'm just scrolling down that same listing that we were looking at. It's showing what it has learned from the MLS. Now, a lot of the information that's in there now is correct because I have a sold listing as of about a week ago that it's probably pulling data from now. So it's kind of correcting itself on what it knows about the property. And it probably knows more than it did before I listed it the last time, because the last time it had sold was, I think, in 2010 or something like that. So it was going from courthouse data before. So every time something happens in our MLS, this kind of updates the RPR system and adds the new data in there. So that's why you see that the actual RVM, or their estimate of value, which is like a Zestimate, is really close to what it actually sold for a couple of weeks ago. Okay. But again, on these property facts, you can go in here and tweak or change anything you want. Okay, so the actual square footage on it was about 4,206, and prior to my sale, it was showing it at 3,240. So again, it's pulling from like courthouse records and all that kind of thing, and you can go in there and tweak it to what's actual. Once you make changes to it and save those changes, it will come back up here and it'll affect this RPR or RVM value and give you an idea of where it should be priced. You see that they have a range there. They're saying it's worth 584 to 608, which is a pretty tight range. I like that. I mean, that's a good range to work with if you're sitting down with someone and talking about where you want to price their listing or help them with their house. That's a really, really good tool. Do you use it with any kind of regularity?
Yeah, I use it a lot if I'm showing houses instead of trying to comp everything before you go out. I mean, you don't know if they're gonna like any of them, right? So I'd kind of pull up everything that I'm gonna show, and then I'll write the RPR, normally the range, and then the RVM on it.
Sure.
Just to say, like, hey, this place is way out of the market, or this place is within the range.
Right.
And for the last 4 listings that I've had, I've comped it, like really comped it, and then gone to the RPR, and it's been pretty darn close.
Yeah, it's, as I say, from having done some appraisals in the past, it probably comes closer to the way an appraiser is actually going to do it because it kind of grids everything out
Mhm.
for you, and you're able to make those tweaks to get that value to be really closer. So that's the reason I like it a lot.
You look really fancy and printed out.
And boy, it
So,
does. You can print out as long or as short of a report as you want. I think if you print out a full RPR report with every page that it's offered in it, it's like 75 pages long. But you can cull that down to just the parts that you want, maybe a grid showing comparables with pictures or whatever, something that looks a lot like an appraisal. And like Ryan said, when you lay that in front of somebody and you can customize it with their picture of their house and their name and our company and all that kind of stuff. It's a pretty impressive listing tool. We have been lucky, I think, in the last 2 or 3 years to maybe not having to dig as deep when we're going on listing appointments. Would you agree with that? I think it's been a little bit easier for us because the market's been so good. But when things get a little tougher and sellers become a little bit more demanding, they're going to have an expectation of us really coming in there and representing ourselves and telling them how we arrived at the number that we arrived at if things get tougher. And this is a great tool for something like that.
I don't know if I only use the RPR on a listing agreement or a listing presentation though.
No, I agree.
I would still comp it, but it's
Sure.
it's good to make sure like that you're within range and that you're not just
Absolutely.
like,
Yeah, no, I would agree. It certainly isn't the only tool to use. I mean, for sure when you go and sit down with them, they're going to know what Zillow says their house is worth, whether that's good information or bad. And a lot of times it's bad, but they're going to know. So you better know. So I think when you match RPR up against just a Zillow's estimate or whatever, this is a lot more factual and it's a good tool for you to use.
What is the acronyms RPR and RVM stand for?
Realtor Property Resource is RPR.
Right.
RVM is the Realtor Valuation Model.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see here. I'm just going to click on one or two of these little things and see what up. And so this is something that kind of mimics what Zillow does. Zillow has a confidence rating on all of their numbers. If you look at a Zillow's estimate, it'll have a confidence rating on there. And a lot of times it'll be like a 1 or 2 star. Yeah, we kind of sort of think that this is close. With the RPR program, you always see those numbers, shoot up there with some confidence because they have a lot more data in there and it's kind of been customized to the particular property. So on this one, you see their confidence rating on that is 5 stars. And they're showing the comps on the map. We won't go into all that, but if you wanted to look, see what else we got. Let's see, where's the comparables? Okay, so if you want to create a CMA with it, it's very easy program. I think it kind of walks you through everything that you can do. And it starts at the top with confirming the facts that you know about the property. If it's something you've been to, that's where you can go check those. And as you move down through there, the second one you see, of course, is search for comps. Once you've confirmed the facts about the property, and it'll move you down to the next one. And then it'll start opening up all the things that it thinks are possible comps for it. And it'll allow you to go through there and pick and choose the ones that you think make the most sense. So if you haven't had a chance to look at RPR, does the association teach a class on RPR? If they do, it would be an excellent one to go to because it's a pretty deep program. I mean, it does a lot of things. And they could certainly teach it better than I ever could at the association. So if you see one pop up on the association calendar for RPR, that might be a good one to go to, especially as we go into the quieter months of the year when there's not as much going on and we have a little bit more time on our hands. So let's see here. Does anybody have any flex questions that they want to ask while we're still in here? I'm going to kind of move on to CRS and talk about that a little bit. Anybody have any questions on flex? Let's see here. I'm just looking on. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Put a house on the market, does it automatically go into duplex? I'm like an hour into my real estate career.
Okay.
I literally know almost nothing.
Yeah. So, at Realty Executives, we kind of have a process, and you'll learn a lot more about it as you go on here in the next few weeks or whatever. For us, everything kind of revolves around our program called Dot Loop, which is our kind of all-inclusive file sharing program where we store everything and connects with our back office, connects with accounting and everything else. Yeah, so you'll have a choice as to whether you want to input your own listings. Some agents do, some agents don't. If you choose not to input your own listings, then you'll submit all of your listing data through Dotloop to what we call our hub, which is kind of our compliance division and kind of our back office part, and they will put it into the MLS for you. Yeah, it's instantaneous when it goes into the MLS. Once you hit that button that says make it an active listing, unless you're putting it in a status other than active, like coming soon or something like that. It goes, live when you put it in.
You can also, when you start inputting the information, you can make it not completed so that you can go
Right.
back and continue to
Right.
add.
Yeah.
And then once you get everything in there, then you can hit that.
Right. Yeah, you can work on your listing and get everything in there and save it in an incomplete status
Yeah.
where it'll just set until you're ready to make it an active listing. Okay, so for me, I'm kind of a little hands-on with stuff, so I put all my own stuff in there. I'll put my own listings in there. And Deborah Whaley in my office, who's getting a bajillion listings per day, she probably didn't have the luxury of putting her own in there. She's got somebody that's going to do all that kind of thing for her. So, you can do it either way you want. I like to put my own in there so that I can see them go in there. We used to have a stat, so we used to have the ability to put a listing in today with a future list date. Like, for instance, I want to put one in that's going to start November the 1st. I could put everything in there, and then on November 1st, the listing would just go live. Okay. So they took that ability away from us when we started using the coming soon status. But I'm on the MLS committee, so that's my new big thing for our next meeting is I'm wanting them to give us the ability to do that again, because when you start talking about gathering all the documents and everything that you need for a listing and the pictures and all that kind of thing, I used to always have mine done probably ahead of the list date, and I could just put them in, with a November 1 date, and then I didn't have to get up at 4:30 in the morning on November 1st and hit the button. So hopefully we'll be able to do that again. I think it's just probably a flex thing that they can then flip a button somewhere and make that happen for us. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about courthouse retrieval. It is a link to usually the tax data on all the properties that are out there for us. I think it may be a little bit different in Knoxville. No, I know what's different in Knoxville. We'll talk about that when we get there. I've got CRS is right there on my search bar. So when we open that one up, let's see where we go there. Okay. So CRS will kind of take you into your local courthouse and look at any property and tell you what data that they have available on it. If somebody calls you up and says, hey, I'd like you to come talk to me about listing my house. Well, you've never seen that house. You don't know those people. You may be familiar with the neighborhood, but you've never set foot in it. So you literally know nothing about the property. This is a great way. This is kind of your first step to find out something about the property that you're going to see to potentially list. So you can search this thing any way you want. It searches all the counties that are available, even in Georgia, Mississippi, Tennessee, but it has all of our counties as well. You can see mine's configured to Blount County because that's kind of where I'm working most of the time. On CRS, you can search by the owner's name if you know who that is, or you can search by the property address. So let's just put one in there. We'll do the same one we did before. Okay, so it already recognizes that address in Blount County. Okay, so it's pulling up the courthouse retrieval information on that house. All right, so the data on this one's gonna be pretty good because they've just got a fresh closing that's kind of updated a lot of the information that's on there. But so when I'm using CRS, I'm looking at, the first thing I'm looking at is whose name is being shown on there. Okay, so if you'll scroll down and look at current owner, you know, if Mr. Jones has called you and said, hey, come talk to me about listing my house, and you look on the courthouse retrieval data about that house and you see that the owners are Miss Collier and Mr. James, then you need to be asking some questions. You know, so Mr. Jones, you want me to come list your house. It's being shown as owned by, and then you're going to learn a little bit more about, you know, who the owner is. It's important to know who needs to be signing your paperwork. So if someone has a power of attorney for a parent or something like that, maybe the property's been quit claimed to somebody else recently, you need to know who needs to sign. So that's the first thing that I always look at, is who's being shown as the actual owner. So if somebody says to me, okay, well, yes, I'm the owner now, these were my parents and they have passed. It's none of my business, but I promise you that the title company who's going to close it is going to want to know, you know, why the names are different and how Mr. Jones came to own the property. So, you know, if you're dealing, this is the time you're going to learn whether you're dealing with an estate or whatever that's been through probate or any of that kind of thing. And this is a good place to find out about that on the front end. If you are going to list a property, this is going to have a lot of the data that you're going to need to add to our MLS input form, including information about when the house was built, what it's assessed for, all of that kind of thing. It's going to have information about, you know, the subdivision information, lot information. All of that is going to be on this CRS form. I like to always look at the sale history, which is kind of the next thing down on the page. I like to, you know what the seller paid for the property and when. You know, if you find out they bought it like a year and a half ago and they're expecting to make a big bunch of money, maybe that's going to happen and maybe it's not. But so let's see, my sale that was just made on this is not on there yet. Okay. For 2023 information, I've got a different site that I'm kind of going to look at tax data and that kind of thing. And I'll show you that when we kind of get there. Let's see here. What else do I want to talk about on here? Under this section of tax assessment for the year 2022, you can see that the tax man thought that the property was worth $324,500. Okay, that's for 2022. That's what the tax assessment was on there. I'm going to show you where you can go and look at the 2023 ones that have been updated. I don't know when CRS will actually update to the 2023 information. I would have thought that they would have done so by now, but they haven't. So this tax information that's on there is for last year. All right. Also, you can look down here on the mortgage history. If the owners of the property have a mortgage on the property, it'll show there in some configuration. Maybe it's old, maybe it's brand new, maybe they've refinanced. There was nothing owed on this property, so you can see that one is blank. And so just below that, you start looking at the property characteristics. So that's where it tells you that this house was built in 1958. The square footage that it's showing there is 3240. Well, I measured it myself, you know, by hand, and it was closer to 4,300 square feet. So I think this is always a good place to jump off. but don't rely on the square footage. I guess that's something I kind of started doing when I was doing appraisals, was measuring my own houses. More times than not, the square footage data is incorrect in CRS. And you hate to leave square footage on the table, which means you're basically leaving value on the table for your sellers. So I think it's at least check the square footage against what you can actually measure out as actual. On my houses, I do an exterior measurement on everything. I don't do much interior measuring at all, but try to do everything from exterior just to kind of match it up. On CRS, one thing that I do like, if you see this blue bar right below the property characteristics part, it says building footprint. If you will click on that, it will show you what the tax man is going by as far as the footprint of the house. It's showing the base of the house or the main level at being 2280. It is showing the upper story, which is finished, of being 720 square feet, and then the basement square footage, which was finished, as being 600. Well, so when I started measuring up this house, they were about 1,000 square feet short of what the actual was. So, so what I'll do if I'm going to look at a house is I will print off this building footprint and just take it with me and 100-foot tape measure and just spot check some measurements to make sure they're right. A lot of if it's a basic rectangular rancher, on a slab or whatever, that's easy to do. But if it's, for instance, this was a 60-something-year-old house, so it, a lot of twists and turns and all that. So,
And they do have appraisers that will come and measure. For
Yeah,
you too,
yeah.
Which is a good liability issue. So.
yeah, I mean, if somebody needs help with measuring, call me. I'll try to help you. I mean, if you'll go out and do the measuring and just send me something, I've got a program that I can kind of put it in there and map it out and generate a floor plan or a building sketch for you that'll kind of do the calculations on square footage. And I'm glad to do that if you need some help with it.
I think Ryan does.
Yeah.
You have yours measured most of the time, don't you?
Yeah, it only takes one lawsuit.
No kidding. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
She worked for houses too, square foot. This
It's about
measure
Right.
100 or 200 square feet, that's a lot of money.
It is.
So
It
we're
is.
gonna look for somebody for something.
Yeah, so in the case of this one, if I was doing comps, and I know that these days appraisers aren't as hung up on square footage as they used to be, as part of their calculation. I know there are a lot of intangibles in there, but the easiest way to comp something is find things that are of a similar size, square footage wise and all that, and a similar age and condition and all of that kind of thing. But it's just like you guys said, if you leave 1,000 square feet on the table that you didn't, account for, a seller could come at you for that.
Mhm.
So if you're doing your due diligence and you're doing your job and representing your sellers, you really ought to kind of do some spot measuring on things.
So in your previous life, you were an appraiser, so you know how appraisers do this, but as realtors, it's a big liability for us to take that on.
It really is. And appraising and being an agent are kind of two different things. An appraisal is very much in the exact moment. They're looking at what it is today based on what comparables say that have happened over the last 12 months for it. But we do a lot of projection about what we think the market can bear for, a seller. Yeah, we're kind of looking in the future a little bit more. They don't have the luxury of doing that.
Right. I guess I'm saying if, like in this house, if you weren't an appraiser and you're like, yeah, I don't know if that square footage is right, you wouldn't take it upon yourself to try to measure, do get an appraiser or someone.
I wouldn't. I would measure.
If you were me.
Yeah, you can measure a house just as well as
Just the
anybody can.
outside footprint.
Yeah,
Everything
exactly.
inside is considered-
Exactly. We have the indemnification within the MLS to say, yeah, I measured this and this is what I came up with.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, our MLS listing data says, we think this is correct, but we're not guaranteeing it. In other words, we're saying to buyers and buyers agents, you need to do your due diligence to verify everything on here, including square footage or which schools, you're going to or whatever. So I don't have any problem with measuring my stuff and putting it on there. In the MLS, you can choose whether you are listing square footage based on the tax data. You can put that on there if you want to. I mean, if you know, but again, you know, you're taking a chance whether it's right or whether it's wrong. You can put on there that you did it yourself. That doesn't, I don't think that extends your liability to anything. Would you agree with that? I mean, unless you're just miles away,
Right.
you know,
As a
unless.
non-practicing principal broker, I would, and Jeremiah chime in on this, but like, I think where the rub is square ranchers are easy.
Yep.
Right, like if it was just like.
Yep.
24 by 40,
Right.
sure, I would take on that liability, but when you get into bonus rooms with. You know, ceilings that don't have this clearance and, you know, like, it's not. It's not a problem until it is.
Right.
And back to the whole like that, you know, price per square foot, an appraiser will kill you if you start pricing a house price per square
Mhm.
foot, but it is the common denominator that consumers understand. That's where your square foot change, you know, your price per foot changes and square footage is important. But if you miss something by 500 square feet at $200 a foot or whatever that number is, what is that, $20,000? We have been in a situation before where the house didn't change, it didn't grow, it didn't shrink. But they see that our measurement was wrong and all of a sudden they want the $20,000 either added for the seller
Yeah.
or subtracted by the buyer. And you're at this impasse over something, I mean, it's $100 to get a house measured. Or $150.
Right.
It is cheaper than a lawsuit.
Absolutely.
And-
Truly.
The funny thing is too, the more, like, I like to study appraisers. I wanna know how they think. Who they are, how to talk with them, argue them if I need to. And you come down to everybody, there's a base process. They're like artists with different paint strokes.
Sure.
Different approaches, personalities, this, that, and the other, so. It's kind of, it's fun to learn from different ones, different approaches and kind of conglomerate them into one thing, but. I think too, let's say that she bought this house 3 years ago. There's done nothing to it, and she calls me to sell her house. One of the first questions I'm gonna ask is, do you have the appraisal that you had?
Mhm.
And she'll be like, well, you did? I'm like, the value does not matter to me. But what does matter to me is how that appraiser, given that she had a loan, she had an appraiser, he measured it, or she measured it already. Do you mind providing me just that part? Because then I have a legal standing measurement already.
Yeah, that's the, I mean, I'm glad you said that, that's.
The appraiser always has to do it himself, he can't just say, well.
Our measurements don't stand up in court, an appraiser will.
Okay.
Agreed. As long as the property hadn't been altered, that's a great idea right there.
Accept the liability.
Right.
And you can put on there that, you know, cause it says what's your appraisal source or your square footage source.
Right.
Appraiser.
You put on there an appraiser and all of a sudden it's not you, you know. I cringe, I used to cringe when my agents put them being the source of the square footage, because I was like. You have straight up said, I'm the one who's gonna be sued if, you know, and believe it or not, 50 square feet means something to people who measure stuff, who value something price per foot.
Yeah.
Right, so. I mean, and you're talking about, and this is never in a 10,000 square foot house. These are like marginal buyers who like 10 grand means a lot to them. $500 means a lot to them. And you miss square footage by, you know, 50 square
I can
feet.
see where, like you said, a simple rectangle ranch, single level, it's kind of
That's
a
easy.
breaker.
Okay.
You
But
can do
when
that.
you get a house that's 3,000 square foot, it's got this weird balcony thing, you
Yeah.
know, and. Well,
Like a 1.5 story ranch with a half finished basement,
right.
Sure.
you know,
With cathedral ceilings,
yeah.
because you can't count that twice.
Right.
You know, you gotta, yeah.
Yeah. Or you got this weird staircase that's in box, you know.
Yeah, Ryan, I agree with you. I mean, if we're gonna take that on it ourselves as agents, you're gonna have to do it right. I mean, you can't just go out there and halfway do it.
Right.
So
I don't mind falling on a sword on something that is easy to type. But even a house like this would be something that I would probably call, and if it's, and here's the other thing with getting an appraiser to do it. Appraisers will tell you what is finished square footage, so there are some
Right.
basements that may have a painted floor and paneling. That an appraiser is gonna say that is not finished square footage. Whereas me, I'm gonna say, well, it's got flooring and it's got drywall or wall coverings and it's heated and cooled. I think it's finished. An appraiser may not value it like that, and here I am
Right.
saying, in this one, you got a basement of 600 feet. If it's not what I would, if it's finished in my eyes, but not the appraiser's eyes, that's 600 square feet that I'm giving, even if it's $50 a foot.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, if it's $30,000.
Yeah, that's,
You know, there's discrepancy there, and an appraiser is gonna be like, I feel that this is not finished, this is not what I would consider finished square footage. So you also get the value of their assessment
right.
of.
And in the MLS, a lot of times I see agents put in the agent remarks or even maybe even public remarks, buyer to verify square footage. You know, that's probably not a bad thing to
No,
do.
I would definitely.
But is that gonna get you off the hook if you?
Well, you know,
Way wrong, a little bit.
No, you'll still be pulled into the lawsuit,
Yeah.
but your E&O will probably cover you.
Grace, do you?
Yeah, some of that I did the first year before things went crazy, especially if I was like, I'm not sure, because I didn't have buyers looked at a house where I think that, well, they did, the listing agent did count unfinished basement as square footage. So in my contract, I wrote a contingency and special stipulations, if there's a discrepancy of like 100 or more square footage,
Mhm.
that, you know, it's a leg out for them or negotiating, just an extra protection.
That's a price
for
you
Sure.
adjusted.
Something that, figure kind of, as an agent, it's kind of like fishy about like,
Yeah.
Fishy out here.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, at the end of the day, it falls to the buyer to do their due diligence in any way they want to do it. But, you know, if you've missed the square footage on the front end, that's just one thing that kind of starts the ball rolling with, you know, a buyer
Start
about.
looking at everything and
Exactly.
everything.
That's exactly right.
You could percentage from the builder.
You absolutely can, you know, and it's, that may be even one of our choices on the drop down is
It is,
from
plans.
specs and plans,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, which that would be fine too, you know, and
And those aren't right either.
Yeah, the specs and plans are. not-
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Some builders. they're-
right.
Cause they may increase it 2 feet or decrease it 2 feet.
Yeah.
or-
So, and if there's gonna be a loan involved and there's an appraisal being done, then the appraiser's gonna do their own measuring. And, you know, you could have 3 different appraisers go out there and probably come up with 3 different measurements. So, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
It's like Jeremiah's thing, I mean, they're artists, everyone kind of interprets square footage.
sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, and always,
The bars are not.
they have codes, uniform codes that they go by as appraisers use pack, what it's called, and you know, they're all kind of operating under the same thing, but at the end of the day, it's an opinion of value. It is that person's opinion of value on that day. If you get another one tomorrow, that person may have a completely different opinion of value. So, anyway, let's see, where were we? We'll kind of finish up on that. I just wanted to point out a couple of things. Legal description, if you're listing a property, you're gonna need to put partial ID and tax information on there. You can see right here on this one, the map group and parcel number is there. I think in Knoxville, you have instrument numbers rather than map group and parcel. Is that correct? You've got like a long string of numbers. It's your
Yeah.
instrument number that kind of identifies a property.
It's that parcel ID. and
Bill,
everything.
Yeah.
there's something up there I've never seen before.
Okay.
Edit on square footage. Is that something we
That only-
can do?
It's not public facing, that's only your edit.
Yes,
Oh,
I
okay.
think so.
Yeah.
I've never seen that one.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what I am liking about CRS these days is the link back into we've always had the link back into the MLS. If you look right here under location, this little red tag
Mhm.
is a sold tag. If I click on that, it's going to take me back into the MLS to look at my MLS listing. But
Like,
it's
is that
important.
the one you just saw?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah,
Uh,
so that's
But
right on the.
it's, CRS is now pulling all my photographs out of the MLS, which is pretty nice because that wasn't the case just even like a year or whatever ago that there were no photographs like this in there. I would also point out that this map right up here on the top where you see it says view a larger map. You can click on this and it will show you an overview of the neighborhood. If you want to do comp searching, one feature I love of this tax map in CRS is you see these two little arrows right over here on this left side. That will open up a box where you can actually look at comps and things on this map view, which is pretty nice. Let's see here, recent sales. I can go in there and look at recent sales for the last 12 months. And did you see the way that it started to light up? So it's going around the neighborhood and showing, sales of properties, and I can click on any of those and it will take me back into the MLS and I can look at the MLS brief on all of those.
And that
So-
pulls non-MLS sales too.
It does. That's the nice thing about it is realtor involved sales. Yes, but also just sales in the neighborhood. And you can zoom in and out of that. Let's see.
Why the flood information here as well?
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. That's probably the last thing I always look at when I'm going on CRS data. Let me go back here for just a second. Oh, shoot, where's the one we were just looking at? No, that's RPR. Hold on just a second. Get that pulled back up. If you're looking at a property that has water anywhere near it, let's say you're looking at a small farm that has a creek, something like that, or that's something that neighborhood that backs up to a pond, or a creek running nearby or whatever. Go down to the very bottom of the CRS data page and look at, let's see here. Look at the FEMA flood zones. X, basically, you see where it says zone code X right there. X basically means that it is nowhere near a flood zone. But if you're looking at a property that's got some water on it somewhere, whether it's at the lake or, like I say, a small farm, or a creek, whatever, look on there and pull up that FEMA flood designation and see if the dwelling on the property falls anywhere near the flood zone. The reason that's important, if a house is in a designated flood zone or a floodplain, that owner may have to pay some flood insurance per year to own that. And that can, come into play as far as qualifying for a loan or something like that. If it's $500 or $1,000 a year that has to be added onto their expenses when they're going to qualify for financing and that kind of thing. So I always look, if I see something other than X down there, and usually it will be like A or AE is the designation that some part of that property is in a flood zone. I think everything that is lakefront has some, section of it that's going to fall in the floodplain.
So this doesn't feed into the MLS at all? You can't get this information with the MLS only from the.
You mean the FEMA information? Yeah, if you start clicking on these links, it's going to take you into the FEMA flood mapping stuff. It's just a horribly laborious.
Asking if you look at a property in the MLS only, can you tell if it's in a flood?
You cannot.
No.
You cannot. You
But
can.
a lot of times agents will put in there, this requires flood insurance.
Yeah, you should be if you know it for sure. But if you suspect that let's say I'm showing Ryan's listing and it's got this big creek behind it, I'm probably going to jump on CRS and go down there for that property to see if any portion of it is showing as being in a floodplain. We've got a great subdivision in Maryville. As a matter of fact, it's where Donna Talent lives. The original street, it's this big long street that goes all the way down, and on one whole left side, all of these great big huge lots back up to a creek. Well, for years and years, that's all been in a flood zone. And some of these dwellings were actually affected to the point where the people in these big houses in a city of Maryville subdivision had to have flood insurance. So, you never know. If you suspect something, it's good to look on there and just make sure. And that's where you can do it. But you can actually open up these flood maps. I've played around with these things for years and I'm still not sure I know exactly how to make them work exactly right. But, if you see something other than X down there, at least ask some questions or maybe get with your broker and kind of investigate it a little bit and see what may or may not be in a flood zone.
Will CRS have information, if there's any liens attached to?
It will show mortgages, that are recorded on it. Let's see if I can get back over there. Let's see here.
I wouldn't think that would be very often. I was just curious.
Let me just pick something else that I had been looking at for whatever reason.
It's
Okay.
got mortgage history, but I don't know if it's got like a mechanics.
Yeah, no, it won't have, I mean,
That's original mortgage.
that's where a title search comes in. If you suspect something on the front end, you can have title company do that for you, but that's gonna be done as part of the closing process ultimately. On behalf of a buyer, especially if there's a loan involved. The title company is gonna do a title search. They're gonna look for any liens and encumbrances. And clear those prior to closing. So there's nowhere that I know of, unless it's been something that's published publicly, like a foreclosure or something, that you're gonna be able to find that kind of information.
Like if my weird uncle wants me to sell something, I'll probably just do a title search to start. Just make sure he owns it.
Well, so you can,
Yeah,
yeah, you can start with the CRS data and go in there and see if his is the name on the deed.
That's good.
And actually on the CRS stuff on this, you can.
Always be wary of the weird uncle.
I usually will pull the deeds on everything that I'm getting ready to list. So in the CRS data, you can see the most recent sale prior to the one that just closed on this, which is not showing here yet, was when sister quit claimed to herself and her brother. So this information right here that's lit up that you see on that, if I click on that, that'll take me into courthouse retrieval and it will let me download that deed.
Okay.
I think we all have X number of credits for downloading things in there. No more often. I've never paid for one. You can pay through courthouse retrieval to pull them every single time, but no more often than I do it. I usually have credits built up that allow me just to download that deed. So I'll usually try to pull that on every single one of them. That can be helpful in giving you everything for references to restrictions in a subdivision or something like that, and just to verify who the actual owner is. But of course, title company in the process of processing sales gonna look at all that information too. Okay. Let me see. I want to take you. I got too many things open here at the top, unfortunately. Let's see, not that one. What was that one? Not that one. Here we go. For 2020, so big, huge reappraisal of property in Blount County this past year. And as we all know, all of our assessments went up dramatically. So CRS is still using 2022 data. And for me, I'm wanting to know what the tax man says that any property is worth in 2023. So this site right here is one that I'm going to just about every single day. And as you can see at the top, the web address is assessment.cot.tn.gov. But if you'll just put in Tennessee property valuation into a Google search, this site will come up. And I'm checking all of my properties on this site every time that I'm going to do a listing or whatever. I'm Blount County, of course, so I'm going to put Blount County in there. One thing I have noticed is that Knoxville has its own off-site version of this. So when you put in Knox County on here, it's going to send you to Knoxville's site that does exactly the same thing. But for Blount County, let's just put in the one that we were looking at before. I'm going to put in, there it is right there, Wood Thrush. Okay. And search. This is going to give me an updated tax card for 2023. If I just hit this view right here. Okay. So I don't know if you remember when we were looking on CRS, the most current information on this house showed that it was worth like $342,000. Okay, but when you go into the 2023 information, they've updated that to $543,000. So, you know, if you're trying to calculate taxes or something like that for somebody for a payment or whatever, you might want to look at that 2023 stuff. Just see what it's worth. And you know, I think when buyers are out there looking at houses or looking for a house, this is probably always their jumping off point. You know, they say, well, is it really worth the $600,000 that they have it listed for? You know, the first thing they're going to look at is this tax data to verify. So I want to make sure that, you know, everybody knows for 2023, this house is worth 543, not the 324 or whatever it was for 2022 after a reappraisal.
But you sold for $595.
It sold for $599. Yeah. But again, if you just get in a Google search and put in Tennessee property valuation, this should be the first site that pops up, and it's really easy to search. So if you just want to check for 2023 values, that's a good place to do it. Let's see here. Let's talk a little bit about our East Tennessee Realtor site. If you're going to this for the very first time, you're probably going to have to create yourself an account on this with probably your license number and your Knoxville information. You guys that have done it pretty recently, is that what you had to do the first time you went in? Yeah. So this is a site for our association, East Tennessee Realtors. We all have a member dashboard on this site that's specific to us, where we can connect all the different things that they have for us. The things that I always look at on this one is, I love the education tab on this site. So especially for all you new people, they're just getting started. And as we go into the winter, when things get quiet, we've got a little bit more time on our hands. You want to go to some classes or whatever. Their education calendar on the Knoxville Association is really good. So this is on the main page. This is even before I'm checking or logging into my member dashboard. This is just the general calendar of education stuff for the Knoxville Association. I need to quit saying Knoxville Association. We're not with, or East Tennessee Realtors. Yeah. Yeah. After whatever many bajillion years, you get in the habit. But so this will show, and you can look at it in grid forms or different forms, but it'll show all the education stuff. Yeah, I've told agents for years and years and years, we all have an education CE requirement, you know, that we have to fulfill within our 2-year cycle or whatever for those that have to do that. Just about everything that you need to fulfill that requirement happens right over at the board office if you'll just go over there and do it. And the charge for most of those things is nominal, maybe $10. I don't know. Ryan could probably tell better than that, but they do all kinds of training over there. They do training on the MLS. They do training that's specific for our CE classes, like the core stuff. I noticed when I was kind of looking through the education calendar last night, they are doing starting in December, or maybe even starting sooner than that, all the GRI and CRS stuff. So if you want to get the GRI designation, Graduate of the Realtors Institute, or you want to get a CRS, which is a Certified Residential Specialist, they're offering it at the board office.
And
Okay.
They
They didn't
didn't used to.
used to.
Have go
They
somewhere.
exactly.
But that's-
Yeah. So when I got both of those, I had to go
Yeah.
Chattanooga or somewhere, off site to get those done. But they're offering all of those on there. You can go on here and click, and it will tell you. So the registration, this is a CRS class. Let's see what it says.
And are a lot of those.
$10.
online too? I mean, can you-
$10. Yeah. They do post they have a whole bunch of online stuff. We'll talk about that one, but you see there, here's the CRS. Okay. This one's
Yeah.
commercial, but $10 at the association office. So again, They offer one on Flex, which is great. Again, they're, they can teach it way better than I ever could on most all of this kind of stuff. I'm looking there on December 12th. They're offering the core class. We're all on, whether we're grandfathered on education or not, we all have to have ethics. So, and we're all on the same, 2-year cycle for ethics. So I see there on December 14th, they're offering a code of ethics class, and you'll see underneath each one of them the hours of credit that they're offering. Let's see, what is that one? There's that's probably the full GRI courses, 404 through 406, virtually 18 hours of credit on December 6th through the 11th.
I think you have to have ABR before you do,
Do you? Yeah, didn't used to.
No, you didn't.
Mm-mm.
I think. I could do it.
Yeah. But again, if you're looking for educational stuff, so our company is probably the best in town. It is the best in town as far as offering different educational stuff. There's something going on over here all the time. We're trying to, do something with either for new people or people that have been doing it a bajillion years, roundtables, all that kind of stuff. There's something out there all the time. If you don't have a lot of business and a lot of things to do right now, get educated. That's just the best way to move your career forward. So anyway, the education tab, love the education tab on there. And again, we talked about, it'll show your credit hours. Let's see, what else have I got on my, I don't know if y'all have noticed, especially if you're new, we have I think an every other week email from Lyle Irish at the association. Is that right? Is it an every other week?
Yeah, we're about to get it.
Yeah.
Right now it's every 2 weeks.
We going yesterday.
Mhm.
Okay, and I pulled it up if I still had it on there, but it talked about some flex training on the very, very top that, talked about what was going on there. It talked about everything. I mean, it's got some of our calendar stuff. It talked about our cruise, everything that's going on with the association. It also talked about the showing tokens for Supra or whatever that is. We'll talk about that one a little bit. Anyway, it's a very complete email, and we get it. What did you say? We're getting it every 2 weeks at this point, and it's probably going to go to a month.
Well, we're up in the air on it.
Yeah, but it comes from Lyle, and it's great, and I would recommend that everybody, take a look at it. So when you log into the main page, there are a bunch of resources on there. I will, let's see. Yeah, and there's the link they'll take you back to the MLS. And if you're a member of the commercial MLS, it's there. But here's the member dashboard. As I say, the first time you go in there, you probably have to create for yourself with your license number and all that. But once you've done that and sign in, the first thing it shows me right up at the top is my membership dues are due. And I can actually come over here on the right hand side, just go over there and click go to billing and pay those. I think we have until December 31st to pay our membership fees dues there. There is, as you can see right here, a whole upcoming events, the next classes and things over there. Once you've gone in here, if you're going for the first time, go into your info and update all of your contact info in there, because what you put in there is how people are going to see you in the MLS and all that. Let's see what's going on up here. There's that. Again, there's the calendar of events for October. I think they do them a month at a time. I don't know how much in the next month they've got the next month's posted. So if you want to see what education is available, you go on there and you can click on any one of these and it'll open up info about it for you, and you can register from right there. So there's one that Jim's going to teach. That's the core class, and he's going to do that on December the 12th. In the continuing education tab, let's see here.
When you do those, does that record, do you have to let the state know you.
No, that they will do that for you. If you're doing it through the association, they make those contacts, so it'll appear on that. I don't know how instantaneous it is, but it'll get on there really pretty quickly. And then when you go to your education log, you'll see that it's on there. I'm wondering, I hit continuing education on here and I don't see anything, so I'm kind of wondering what's going on.
They've started using CE Broker.
They have for sure.
But if you had questions at the top,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, you may be right. Let's see if that does anything. Yeah, no.
yes, you could search.
Well, and we'll kind of talk about where we search for those kind of things. Let's see here. Oh, so looking at our notes that Don and I've had, we used to have a bilingual agents page in here somewhere. I don't know if it's still on this thing or not. If you speak another language, and would be willing to help somebody with working with a client, you'd be amazed. We used to have a page on East Tennessee Realtors that showed all of our bilingual agents. I mean, it's amazing how many people in our association of almost 5,000 people speak other languages. So, you run up on a client that speaks Mandarin Chinese and you need some help. That's a resource. I'm not so sure where that is anymore. Ryan, do you have a clue?
Not since they changed it.
Let's see here. Yeah, Realtor, maybe. I don't know. I'll ask about that next time we're in the MLS committee and see. Let's see here. Oh, I do like, where's quick links? Let's go back here. Back to the main page. Where's the support? Oh, so under support or under realtors, that's where it says support are links to a lot of the things that we might need for whatever reason. The website for the Tennessee Real Estate Commission. Again, Flex, Supra, which is our lockboxes, CRS data, which we've already talked about. The Tennessee Realtors legal hotline, if you want to shoot a question or whatever to them. But you can see some of the links to things that are in here, Tennessee Realtors, our different forms and all those kinds of things. That is under this Realtors tab under, there's Donna. Under support. Let's see here. Let's talk a little, has everybody heard of the Forewarn app? Does anybody know what the Forewarn app is? I'm trying to remember exactly how I got it. I got it on my system. I've got it on there. Did we have to get it through the association? They have to like actually share a link with you to get it. When you're new, that's one of the things you're going to get. So Forewarn is kind of a phone number search database that will give you histories of everything for a certain phone number. So let's say you get a call from somebody that sounds really sketch, or that
Like your uncle.
Let's see, I'm gonna,
Somebody else's phone.
yeah, let me see if I think I had Forewarn up there.
See if you probably see if there's any links.
Yeah.
Here we go.
See what?
If there's any liens against the
Ah,
property,
okay.
bankruptcy, or
Here we go.
you'll see records there.
Felonies.
Yeah.
I had one guy pop up, had like 64 felonies. It's like, why is he on the street?
Oh, my God.
I don't know how you get.
Thank God you didn't get it.
Hold on here. Let's see here.
Habitual criminal. There's-
Hard to work.
But he's a cash buyer.
You're taking out one. Pistol.
Well, I don't know why this is doing. Let's see here.
Yeah, right.
I'm trying to see if I can log into it just really quickly.
And where do you get this from the board?
Yeah, they'll send you a link.
They will send you a link.
The app is much.
Before, when they first came out with Forewarn, you should have gotten the email because it had the link in the email.
Oh, they have, but.
Yeah.
Let's see if I this one.
Hey, Bill, I'm on too.
Hey, Donna.
I'm really late. I'm sorry, but
No, that's no problem at all. I'm trying to log into
Search yourself.
Or
too, make
Warren.
sure.
yeah, so
Forewarn real
guys,
quick.
they definitely don't
There
want to
we go.
get Forewarn as the app without the MLS because right now the MLS is paying for that on our behalf. But if you download it yourself as an agent, you're not going to be, I think it's going to be charged. And I will say, I think maybe it was Jim that put out an email early on that also said, be careful using this app. This is not something, that you're supposed to like look people up and then try to smear their name. I mean, this is a professional app
Right.
protection and not for, being ugly. But it is super helpful. It's super, you can also, not only can you do that reverse phone search, but you can also right there search by name. So if you're trying to find a number, I know it's been helpful on like vacant properties to try to locate some information for, for clients on vacant property too. So,
Hold on just a second, Donna.
okay.
What do we do wrong here?
Go back to Zoom. Is that something?
You may have dropped the internet there because I'm seeing yours. I see your share screen.
Oh, yeah, I can't see you.
You have to have a.
You can see it.
If you wanna.
Oh,
If you just download the app, you have to pay for it.
Yeah, you wanna get it through the link.
Uh-oh. Would we just bomb completely out?
We can online, we can see your screen. I think that's just on that TV. You may want to try to screen mirror again, Bill. Like go up to
Okay.
Grace, go up to his like screen mirroring, which will be at the top of like where his internet is, and then choose the conference room because I think what's happened is it's not sharing.
Yeah, the screen share isn't even coming up for Zoom.
Go back down here for just.
I can see your screen. It's got the reverse phone search.
Okay, we don't see it in here is the.
Okay. Because that's the mirroring. So Amanda and Charlene, can y'all see his screen? I can see his screen. So I think it's just your screen mirroring on that TV.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Zoom is fine, but in here, we're not getting it anymore. I don't know how that happened.
Like if if you go up to the top of his screen up there where you've got those two little bars next to the search bar.
Yeah, it's on. It's just
Screen mirroring's on. Okay.
it's just showing the blank background. It's not actually showing his screen on the screen in here,
That's bizarre.
which is because it was, and then it just stopped.
See
I'm
what
just gonna
happens.
turn it off.
What if you click on mirror built in?
There we go.
Hey,
That
yeah.
was it.
Okay.
Okay, now we're good. I thought I had taken over and I'm like, wait.
Okay, well, we kind of got off track there. Anyway, the Forewarn app, you will, I think, contact the association and they'll send you the link for it. But it is really handy. You can put in any phone number and it will show everything as simple as traffic violations to like murder.
Right. And I did have one criminal investigation. I had a car accident.
Oh, I see.
No, that was criminal.
Well, hey, listen, we've uncovered some incredible things using that, and I don't mean to sound sexist, but especially to the ladies, if you get a call, hey, meet me at a property or whatever, and you've got a phone number, it's worth your time just to run it through there just to make sure,
Absolutely.
9 times out of 10, everything's going to be great. You're going to, find nothing at all.
Or have
But
something with you.
on the out chance that, something does come up, then it's worth it for sure.
It also shows the bankruptcies and things like that. If they've had foreclosed homes, I know when we first started into this crazy market 2 years ago, and Pat actually, Realty Executives was providing Forewarn before the MLS was. And I had put in, somebody wanted to look at a $2 million property. He told me he could pay cash for it. And then when I looked him up, like there was no way. I mean, the house that he lived in California was probably worth 300,000. He was looking at a $2 million house and had like 2 foreclosures and had bankruptcies. And it's like, okay, maybe you can pay cash, but if you
Yeah.
pay cash for 2 million, why are you having bankruptcies and foreclosures on $300,000 homes? So, I don't know, it just kind of made me be a little bit more diligent, and ended up, he could not provide proof of funds, so he didn't get to look at that house. So.
Right.
Cool.
Let's see, Donna, what do we want to talk about next? Let's talk about, we were talking about education stuff earlier. There's a couple of ways you can verify your license and verify your education. They're actually being done in 2 different places. So let's say you've got a contract that requires you to have a licensed plumber or a licensed electrician to do work for you or whatever. You can verify license at verify.tn.gov, which will take you to this site right here. And if you log into it, we used to be able to check all of our education here, which I think you still can, but the state claims that they're not using this site exclusively to update our educational stuff anymore.
And they're not,
if you go-
they're not, I think you have to do a capital. I think you missed a capital. So
Oh.
this morning, if some of y'all, I was late coming because I had a listing go live, and I had an agent from Chattanooga area reach out that wanted to look at a house this morning personally. And I just kind of wanted to check out that she was a licensed agent. So I went on this yesterday, verify.tn.gov, and found her licensure and saw, that it expires in 2024. She's been a licensed agent since 2020, but because I knew we were teaching this class, I did look, and it did not have her updated education on it. So they have stopped reporting it here. So you can see any of the education still on this site up to when they transition to the cebroker.com. So, but Bill's right. This is a great place to look. Like if you have someone who wants to use a licensed contractor and you put their information in here. Another thing, if you're doing the new construction contract, it asks for license numbers. So this is a place you can also verify that the builder of record is licensed. I think we laughed because I think Pancrats had let theirs actually lapse, and during a class we checked Jason's, and Beth was like, oh my gosh, he's lapsed on his licensure. So that was a good catch during a class, but you can see that people are actually active and because we've even had a few times where I've checked people and they're like, okay, they've not been licensed for like 3 or 4 years and they're still doing business as quote licensed professionals.
Right. One thing, if you're using it, you'll need to come over here to the profession and just choose what you're looking for. If you're looking for, you can see what all's on there: auctioneers, contractors, whatever. For us, we're way down here, real estate brokers. I've got my name in there. If you search, it will pull up every William Morton with a real estate license. I guess it's just me. Yeah, just me. And then if you'll hit this details, this is where we used to always check our education stuff. Let's see, this was this was still going as of April of last year, education stuff. But again, this is just where, if you're wanting to verify either an agent's license or a licensed person's license, this is where you can come for that. I'm gonna take you next to, where's CE Broker? There it is.
There you go.
This is the one, this is the one where you can actually verify your stuff. Donna, I can't remember how you establish you have to.
You just go in there
in.
and sign up and sign in. You do not have to pay for this. There's other things that
Right.
it can help monitor, but you do not have to pay for this. And it's a little bit confusing because it makes it sound like you need to pay for it. You do not.
Yeah. Right.
And it will even, like, sometimes my compliance status will even say that it's not up to date, and that's not actually correct. When I went to look. So did you show them on the ETN Realtors page where they can find out what they need for education?
Yeah, we were looking at mine, and of course I'm grandfathered, so that wasn't very helpful.
Well, also, can I share screen real quick? Maybe
Please do.
Hang on a second. Let's see if I can
I'm making you one of those.
Okay,
Yeah, hold on. Grace is gonna hook you up here.
I think I'm gonna have to, well, you,
So for everybody just in the room, the site for this is cebroker.com. And the first time you'll use it, you'll have to create an account, I think, using your license number. And then it'll pop up like that. This is the one where you're supposed to be able to always verify your stuff. There you go. Is that you, Donna?
yeah, I'm trying to open a new window though. And just playing around here. Let me see if I can,
So this verifies my name.
It's in any coursework that you've taken.
Oh.
Yeah. I think you can verify your license on the Verify site that we were just at before. But to verify that your education is current, this is the one that you need to be using.
well, and
Or
if
is that
you go-
yours?
this is mine, but if you go to actually,
I thought you had to go in to your members dashboard.
you can go in there, but what I was trying to see is it will tell you, I think it's under professional standards here, if I can, why is my screen not wanting to? Okay, so this will explain that you need your code of ethics, and it kind of tells the rotation of the time that you need your code of ethics. And then it on here also, it will tell you that you have to have, and it may be under support. It will end up
We were
telling
looking under
you,
support, but
it may not be. Well, this site has been redeveloped and is continuing to be tweaked. But for most of, if you're a new agent, you may not have gotten to the point where you need new classes yet, but you will always need 16 hours during your 2-year licensure period, and 6 of those hours will be the core course. And then on top of that, you have to have that code of ethics, which is explained under this professional standards. And so it will tell you whether you need to do that course. And I think you can even check to see if you've had your code of ethics on the NAR side, if you're a member of the National Association of Realtors. And if any of you have not, I don't know if Bill talked about this, but there was an email that went out from East Tennessee Realtors yesterday talking about the lawsuits and cooperating compensations and things like that, and explaining the benefits of being a member of the MLS. I know there's a lot of talk right now about that, but you can, if you're an NAR member, which we are, and you can go to your NAR account and it will actually tell you if you have had your code of ethics for the time period. So let's see if I can log in here and show you.
I think we're all on the same cycle in regard to code of ethics, correct? We're all on
Yeah,
the same
on the
2-year
same
cycle.
2-year cycle. Okay, I'm not sure why it's not letting me open it up. But anyway, and so were you able to log in at all to your,
Yes.
okay.
Go into yours, see if
Why is that not letting me log in? Usually I have this saved, so I'm like, okay, my brain's not thinking this morning. I don't know what. See if this is it. Maybe.
Yeah, I had to reset my password when I logged into it last night because of I guess because of the changeover, it didn't recognize.
Well, I was going to say it's not, this is the first time I've ever had to log in too. Well, if you've shown that, it's not a big deal. We can move on from it, but you
Yeah.
can go to NAR and check that also, and check like what Bill had up a minute ago, that cebroker.com. It will show everything too. Let me see if I can. So if I sign in here to mine. What in the world? Everybody not working today?
Yeah, we were in mine a minute ago.
Yeah. Try this again. Okay, I guess it's not gonna let me in. And even NAR didn't let me in, so that was weird. I guess I'm maybe have kicked me out completely. So NAR is, huh? Maybe I haven't paid my dues or something. Let's see. Trying to get this out of the way. I don't know why NAR is completely not working at all. What is going on with my computer?
Here, let me share mine and let's see if I can do any better.
Yeah,
Let's see, does this? Let's see. Okay, well, all right, there's mine. Can you see that, Donna?
I can.
Yeah, there's mine in CE Broker. And then if you start scrolling down there, it's showing, I guess, the things that have happened since they quit showing it on the other one.
Yeah, yep.
Shows my CE cycle as being through a year from now. In
That,
24,
that's not,
by
that,
then it's
yeah, and that CE cycle, is that your code of ethics cycle? I think it is.
right.
That's your
Right,
code. That's
exactly.
that's the 2-year time period that you have to get code of ethics in.
Yes, yeah. And again, there's all kinds of things on the CE Broker that suggest if you want to pay something, they'll let you do more. You don't need to pay anything at all. Don't pay anything.
Yep.
Just use the free. Donna, I'm going to pull up one thing. Maybe I'm not. I thought I was.
For some reason, I'm not even pulling up internet, and I don't know if that's an issue.
Can you pull up our notes that I sent you from yesterday?
Let me see.
I was just going to talk about the mobility app, unless you want to talk about that a little bit. It's got Katie's contact information on there where they can get it.
Let me actually see if I can, let me see if I can log into that. Hang on one second. Mobility app, Homestack. Okay.
So if y'all have used the RPR mobile app that they have, which is a good one, I like it too. It's got like a mapping thing that you're driving around in a car with a client and they say, oh, I like that house. How much is that one? On the RPR one, the mobile app, you can click on it and it'll open a map and it'll show you everything in there. You can click on it and tell them how much it is. Well, we have a Realty Executives branded mobility app that's just branded to us specifically as agents.
Yeah.
Katie Zanone here in the company will set you up with that, but you need to reach out to her. That's an app that you can actually share with your clients, so that they can search, on the mobile app or whatever. The nice thing about it, Donna, I think if I'm not misspeaking, I think it will actually send you notifications when they're searching and what they're looking at. Is that right?
It does. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm logged into the homestack.com desktop version. So just like with Dotloop, you have a desktop version that you can set things up on.
I've got it up as high as it will go. I'm sorry, I can't make her louder.
Is it
she's
me?
usually very loud.
Am I? Sorry, am I?
Yeah, we would like for you to be louder.
Okay, let me get closer to the screen. Is that better?
Well, some.
That's weird.
I've got you turned up as loud as mine will go.
Okay. Well, I'll try to yell here in the Maryville office. But okay, so the broker Homestack dashboard, you will want to set this up when Katie gets you your login. You will want to set it up on a desktop computer. You can actually do a bio, and there's a lot of things that you can do on here. The app, though, when I'm out meeting people, talking to people, working with new clients, I always share my app with them. I'm actually going to be taking this app away from a buyer this week. I had a buyer who I've been working with, and they have been using this app religiously. It will give me a notification when they're logging in, when they're searching. You can adjust those preferences, but it will tell me when they're looking at things. If they favorite things, it will tell me. But they ended up calling me last week and they're like, hey, we decided we're going to go with an agent in Knoxville. We feel like they know Knoxville better possibly than a Maryville agent. I kind of joked because I think Maryville agents have to know both. But anyway, I was like, it's great. But I've noticed that they've continued to use my tool. And they're not going to get to use my tool. So I'm taking this away from them. I'm kind of curious to see what'll happen. But, and I did tell her, hey, I'll get you off of my app. But let me just go down to, like, this client is buying a house with me, but you can see where she's created a search. She was on there. We're under contract now, but I can go in and view her information. and I can see her favorites that she has favorited. And I can also see her notes. So she'll like send me little notes. She's like, I like this area, lot size, trees in the back, make it private. Like, wow, what's not to love? I mean, I can see all these little notes. So I've used it as a great communicative tool with my clients to say, hey, so when you search on this, not only am I not selling your information, this is only between you and I. So when you go on Zillow, you go on Trulia, they sell your data. I don't sell your data. So this is a great search app for you to use. It's linked directly to our MLS at East Tennessee Realtors. You're going to see everything live like I do. And you can go in here and you can like and favorite things. You can send me notes. So like before this lady came to town, I was able to sit down and look at all the different properties that she liked, what she liked about it. You know, I mean, this is all our notes and we're in contract now, but she has loved using this app. I can tell when she's completed her setup, things like that. But there's all kinds of things that you can set up here on this dashboard. You can do your picture, you can do a bio. There's lots of things that you can use it for. The app itself, and I wish that we could mirror up our phones. I need to try that and practice that. But basically on that app, when you get it downloaded, you will go and there'll be let me see if I can pull it up and walk you through. But at the bottom of the app, it will say more. And under more, it'll say invite friends. And you can either pull up a QR code and they can take a picture of it, or you can actually copy the link and send it to them. Sometimes I run into people and they really don't want to share all their personal information with me. And I'm just the type of agent, I'm not going to bother them. So if they just want to scan the QR code, and then if they want to set it up, obviously I'll have their phone number then. But some people just feel more comfortable with that. But I've found that my clients love to use this mobility app, and it's branded towards you. So when they look at that, they're communicating directly with you. So I think it's a great thing. If you go to our YouTube channel, Bill, did y'all talk about the YouTube channel?
No.
Okay, let me see if I can go there real quick. If you go to YouTube and you will search for Realty Executives Associates and then subscribe to Realty Executives Associates, you'll be able to watch all the videos that we've done on these trainings. So if you go right here to videos, all of the trainings that we do are recorded here. So let me see if I can find a mobility app. There's an REA app refresh training, but you can go back through here and find all the different trainings that she has done. Here's even a tools training class. Like if you want to go back and watch this again, you can. You can also look at classes that we've had in the past, but this YouTube channel is a huge resource to you guys. If you miss a class and you want to, or if you want to watch Dot-Loop, if you want to watch Advanced Prime Agent, all our classes are here on this YouTube channel under Realty Executives Associates.
Yep.
Let's see. You want me to pull into Prime Agent?
Let me just tell them real quick how they can get the mobility app. If y'all
Okay.
reach out to Katie, that's Katie Zanone, Zanone. It's Katie Zanone at realtyexecutives.com, and her number, I think, is 865-539-3156. Is that the office number or hers?
I'm not sure. She is on vacation this week, so
Yeah, she is.
reach
She's
out to her.
out of state right at the moment, but she'll be back, I think, this coming week.
Her number is 540-230-3433.
Grace, say that one again.
It is 540-230-3433.
And what's the name of that program, Bill?
It's just the Realty Executives Mobility app.
It's Homestack.
Yeah, it's actually Homestack.com. Is that right?
Yeah.
Homestack?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. But you don't want to download it till you get with Katie, because you will not get the version that's going to be branded to you.
Exactly. Did everybody hear that? You can find it probably in the App Store, but don't get it with the link that she's going to send you, because that's the one that'll be branded. Okay. Donna, you want to talk about Prime Agent? Oh, you got it up. Very good.
Yeah, as long as you guys can hear me, but basically Shelby Brooks is the queen of Prime Agent. She does the trainings for us on Prime Agent. So by all means, she's the one to teach you how to use Prime Agent. But just very quickly, this is where we have our calendar of trainings. So if you're ever looking for education, I would say look at this a week in advance because there's so much here for us. Everything in green is our office, our local office classes.
Right.
Everything in blue is going to be international. So right here is an RPR class that's coming up. That's going to be awesome, I think. And I think that's obviously very much worth taking. Katie is our RPR trainer here at our office level, but the international class is set for the 17th, and that's definitely something to look forward to. Also, this market mastery with David Knox. I think we will cover that a little bit down into our class here, but we have the privilege of having access to David Knox videos and training. He is, if you don't know who David Knox is, Google him. He is a real estate phenomena and he lives in California. He has even been on Zoom calls with our company exclusively, which is something pretty special. But his training site, and I guess I could even pop to that right now. Let's see. Let me minimize Dave Knox. Okay.
While you're looking him up, let me just, for y'all that aren't familiar with Prime Agent is kind of the mothership for Realty Executives International. So but it's got a really great link to us at Realty Executives Associates. So it incorporates all the information that's coming from international, but it has all of our stuff too. So like Donna says, all of our training calendar and everything, ours inside in-house in REA is all posted on our Prime Agent website, along with all the stuff that's coming from international. And international's doing training all the time too. Maybe not always for credit, but it's good stuff. Like she's getting ready to talk about David Knox and all of that. It shows all of their stuff on there. Okay, Donna, go ahead.
So David has videos here. I know Pat sent this out to several of us in Maryville a couple of weeks ago. David has talked a lot about this NAR DOJ lawsuit if you want more information. So you could actually go to the videos and type in DOJ lawsuit. I think this is how she found it. And you can find, well, let's see. Lawsuit. Let's see if we can find that. There we go. So there's a lot of the information over the lawsuits that's been going on. If you want to know about that, you can go to the downloads. He's got lots of different charts and graphs that you can use. If you could even scroll down here to, I think he's got some role play. It may be that I'm in this. Let's see. Like if I go to prospecting, if I want to deal with for sale by owners, there's videos on how to talk to for sale by owners. But he's big on role playing. If any of you were in a class maybe a couple of months ago, like he literally would ask questions to make us talk through how we would actually, here it is, how we would talk through that with a buyer or a seller. So there's lots of role play questions and conversion answers for sale by owners, expired listings, how to farm. I mean, there is a ton of stuff. And when I go back to Prime Agent, if you look, this market mastery with David Knox is not only here, but we get an email that from David Knox each week that has, I think it's every week or every 2 weeks. No, it's every week. Look, mastery with David Knox, mastery with David Knox. Every one of those are geared to today's market. And so definitely something to take your time to watch. But okay, getting back to Prime Agent again from the home, you want to be in touch with this whole calendar thing. And then if you get leads from international, those leads will come in you'll get an email, but they'll also be here. And then also you can see over here to the side, we have logos that you can log in to use. Different kinds of logos that you can use, if, I don't know, I'm trying to see what this one's going to load. I'm not sure what this one will be, but. So there's just the Realty Executives logo. I don't know, can y'all see that? When I pulled it out of my downloads?
No, it didn't. Nothing
didn't
opened.
show
Why don't
you.
Take them back through the marketing graphics. That might be a better way to show that stuff too.
Okay, let me go back. Let's see, you can get gear. There's some marketing things down here, some monthly social media marketing. So there's different things that you could post to your Facebook page or your Instagram page, and it's already, just some good looking
And
stuff.
these ones are specific to us here.
Yeah, and also there's seasonal content here, so just finished up, there's some Labor Day. I'm sure we'll have some fall stuff coming in here soon. And then there's our marketing department. We even have a referral link here. I think that sends that to Denise and Karen, correct, Bill?
Yeah, we're going to talk about them a little bit more before we finish out here.
Okay. All right. The CRM. So for some of you new agents, you're like, okay, how do I get started? You hear people talk about CRMs. Why do you want to spend your money on, I don't know, I'm trying to think of one, RealVolve. Why do you want to pay the money for RealVolve at this point in time in your career when you have a free CRM with Realty Executives International? So your contact management system here is under the contact manager. You can enter your clients. You can actually start dotloop from there too. But you can go through, like I said, any of the leads that have come to me through international are here, your contact managers there. And then you have broadcasts and campaigns. And Shelby will go through this a little bit, but these are like drip emails that you can set up. Broadcasts are free, campaigns are a fee, but you could literally create a broadcast to send out to all your email contacts through this broadcasting and campaigns. I'm not going to go any further than that because, like I said, that's Shelby's class. But going under the marketing tab, you can go to this listing automation, video automation. This will actually pull up flyers, postcards that are branded to you that actually pull up your listings. It usually takes a minute to load these. But so it's already pulling up one of my listings here on Grayson Woods. I'm actually going to look and see. This is my new listing in Maryville. So I'm going to give it a minute and let that update.
Yeah,
And I think it just kind of
Hit that search listing, I think.
Well, that's for another MLS, or that's for a listing on the MLS, but okay. I don't know why it is moving slow, but let's say you're a new agent and you go, Donna, I don't have anything to market yet. I don't have a listing yet. You can actually search the MLS for a listing here. I would recommend not searching outside of our company. And I would also recommend not advertising or sharing other people's listings without written permission. Or whether that be a text or something like that. I think for the majority, most of our agents will be happy to have you share their listing, but that's up to the seller. So always ask for permission. This is just really moving.
Here it goes now. It's trying to load.
Yeah. But you, like I said, it's going to auto default to your listings, but then you can actually search listings on the search button. And then it will take that listing and it will take everything from the MLS and it will automatically fill these flyers or postcards. And if it will load, I'll show you how you can modify these. You can actually print these out. So this is just really cool if you're, if I was going to show this property today or wanted to have flyers in the property, I could go to the PDF view, print those out, or I could edit the images. Maybe I don't want that to be the front picture. Okay, I think my internet here is just really starting to drag. It's like it's just stopped. But you can kind of get the idea and play with this. You can create listing videos. Like there's a ton of stuff you can do under this marketing, tab. There's
you can tweak the text. You can do. Yeah. It's gonna pull all the information right out of the MLS, but you can go in there and like tweak the text if you wanted to do a flyer for an open house, or you were stuffing mailboxes, or whatever you wanted, something like that. And as Donna says, you know, it's based on the MLS stuff, so you can pull the pictures around, change them out if you want different pictures, add, subtract, whatever. It's got,
Yeah.
yeah, if you go under, is that under marketing or is it under, yeah.
It's
Donna,
under
that's
marketing.
right?
It's
Yeah.
it's right here, this listing automation, video automation. And I was even trying to do a little video and it's not wanting to pull my little video. There's the flyer. I don't think you can see that. But just kind of get in here and explore and take one of Shelby's classes on Prime Agent. We won't, like I said, we don't spend too much time on this because she does teach this class. But yeah, it's a really great tool, and I'm sorry it's not loading. I'm gonna see if I go to another website to see if possibly it will load quicker. Moving along to Super Eky. Bill, you're good at
Yeah.
this. I'll let you
I'm not so sure. Super has been claiming that they've been updating their site forever and ever, and I see that they still have that red banner up there. At least they did last night when I was looking at it. Of course, Supra is the company that has our blue lock boxes that we use to keep our keys in on all of our houses. There is an integration, or will be, between Supra and one of our showing services, which is Broker Bay. I think they're still working on that. I use the Supra website all the time because it gives me a list of all my lock boxes, which houses they're on. You know, that right now with listing selling the first day, that's no big deal now. But, you know, if in a normal market where you may have 10 listings and they may be staying on the market more than 2 or 3 days, you know, you can go into the Supra desktop website and look at who's showing your houses and when. You know, if you get a notification that somebody's showing your listing at 2 o'clock, you can actually go on the Supra website and see that Ryan Levinson opened my lockbox at 123 Main Street at 2:05 p.m. and closed it up at, 2:40 p.m., whatever. We don't really have a lot of security issues, but if you ever did, it's a pretty handy thing to have, to know who's in the house and when. I think that with this integration with Broker Bay, there's supposed to be some connectivity as far as appointment making or something like that. Donna, do you have a feel for that?
Yeah, from what I understand is the Super Box will not work unless you have a scheduled appointment through Broker Bay. So if you're using Broker Bay as your, I'm assuming that people who are using Showing Time can opt out of this feature, but if you are using Broker Bay, you can link your Super to the Broker Bay box, and if they don't have a showing scheduled, that box will not open for them. My people on this Eastwood listing are very, very, very much into security. In fact, he even wants me tonight to make sure that the crawl space door is locked. Every night, he wants to make sure that everything is secured. So for them, this was a huge selling feature or listing feature for me is, hey, I don't use a combo box. And Bill will tell you, he and I both really, this is part of our listing presentation. We don't use combo boxes on homes where you are living because we feel like that is a security issue. And I know that's really hard for new agents to want to go out and buy $100 Super Box, but there are plenty of agents who would offer to loan you one to get you started. But the security of the Super Box is it only works between certain times. So you can actually set the timelines for when your Super Box works. Hey,
Donna, I'm pulling up on my phone in my notes to show them right now. If anybody wants to know what the combo lock boxes are for Deborah Whaley, Aaron Fowler, Elizabeth Hamill, Laura Hall, Donna Bailey, I got them all right here. Just ask for them. I've got them all. It's just not a very secure way of doing business.
Yeah. And that's not knocking those agents. When you get that many listings, sometimes you do it, but we do definitely use it as a listing tool. Let me see if I can go into the lockbox. If you guys are, I think you can still see my screen. Here's my lockbox inventory. If I want to edit something on that inventory, you can see that I can change. So mine are working between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. If I had a day sleeper, I could change those lockbox settings. You can also make, I think it's managed access or somewhere on here, you can actually set where it will tell you when that lockbox is closed. I had I had a little bit of trouble with a listing one time, kind of wanted to be monitoring things. And so you can actually get, I think it's right here, you can send notifications on that lockbox. So basically, once the agent closes it up, you know what time you get an email, you have documentation of it. Had a problem one time with a vacant home that had a super box and people were showing it without a scheduled showing. That's a problem, guys. You don't go to a vacant home without your responsibility is to schedule showings. Don't be good. That's called trespassing. So there's a list of your lock boxes and how you can change the parameters. Like Bill was telling you, if you guys saw this morning, this will show like when lock boxes have been opened up and closed. So you can, I actually had opened this lockbox last night because I hadn't put the lockbox on the house and I knew I was meeting this client at 8:30 and I couldn't remember if my lockbox was set to work at 7 or at 8. So I opened it up. You can see I opened up this box last night at 10:15 p.m. to see. I was like, oh crap, I hope this works. And then you can see when I shut it back up this morning, I actually shut it up at, well, it says 10:55, no, 9:55. I think it timed out at this time, but that's what time I closed that lockbox up. But it kind of gives you the information and who's showing your properties. You also can get to your billing here. So if you ever get a notification that your lockbox isn't working because maybe your debit card has changed and you need to update your billing settings, you can go in here and put how you pay. You can also look at the history of like I know I did this not too long ago to find out, what I've paid over the last year for my tax purposes, things like that. So you have that accountability there in Supra. Yeah. I do want to talk about a safety feature within Supra. So if you guys are there in the class or even on Zoom, I want you to pull up your Supra app now. Just go on your phone, pull up your Supra eKey app. So if you pull it up and at the very, very bottom, you'll notice you have an alert, a flashlight, an update, and more. That alert button, I'm not going to hit mine, but that alert button allows you to send a notification to your people of choice if you're ever in trouble. And so if you go into my eKey alerts, you can see that I have my husband and both of my sons as emergency contacts in my alert system. So if you're looking up on the screen that I'm sharing, you can see, and basically you're just going to go down and you're going to pick up your whatever carrier you have on your phone, and you can type a message here. And I just said, hey, this is Donna Talon. It's important you call me right away. Trouble. I just have a basic message on there. So if you're out and about showing property and something just doesn't go right, know that this Supra, when you got your eKey opened up, it might be important to you to keep it open for a few minutes. And if you find that the client that you're meeting is you're just not in a good situation, you can actually hit that alert button. No one's going to know. It's kind of very discreet. And then your people will get that message. So kind of funny story I tell, I had a listing, very luxury listing, and I was meeting at one of our agents, Major Ward, over there that day to show property to these California folks. It's a little stressed. It's a big house, about 8,000 square feet, and just really wanting this showing to go well. And I accidentally hit that alert button. And so immediately my youngest son starts calling me and I hit the ignore button. And then my older son starts calling me and I hit the ignore button. And then I get a text from my oldest son and he said, Mom, we're on our way. Now, why he said that is because when you hit that alert button, it also drops a location of that lockbox and where you are at. So whatever lockbox you just opened up, it's going to drop your location. So they were on their way. And then that's when I realized, oh crap, I've hit that alert button. The funny story about that is my husband did not even notice that until like 10 o'clock that night. And he was like, oh, babe, I'm sorry. And I'm like, well, at least I know who I can count on. But, I've had men say, oh, I don't need that. I carry a Glock. I don't need that. Well, what if you're out showing property and you have a heart attack or you start having, I don't know, maybe we had an agent that was up in the mountains and she fell and broke her leg. I mean, that alert button can really be a great thing, a great safety feature. And a lot of agents do not know that that's there. So I hope that's helpful. Bill, do you want to talk about the tokens? I know
Yeah, just really quickly, there's a brand new system through Supra where you can purchase single access tokens for a lockbox. Okay, so the scenarios that they put out there is you're bringing a contractor there to do work, or you're sending somebody to measure the house, sending a photographer or a stager or who else, Donna, somebody that's only probably going to ever be there one time, but needs to get in, and it's okay for them to go without you as the agent to this particular property. Okay. I mean, I've told Donna, I said, I'll never use this because I'm not going to let anybody go to one of my listings for something like that without me being there. But I mean, I don't do the volume of business that a lot of these folks do, where it's probably just not convenient for them to be there every single time. So let's say they had a photographer that was going to go and do a house, especially like a vacant house or whatever. You can purchase single access tokens for these blue lock boxes. And as long as that vendor or tradesman or whoever it is that is going has that app on their phone, you can shoot them a single access. They can go and get into that lockbox one time, to do whatever they're going to do. Plumber, photographer, stager, whoever it might be. You purchase them through Supra and you purchase 5 single showing tokens for $15. And then you can farm them out, as you need to do it. I'm not a really great one to talk about it other than I know what they are because I have not done it at all. But, I think for some of these super busy agents that have a lot of people that do their bidding and they're going out and doing all these things, it's probably something that they can, could utilize. And again, the email that came from Lyle yesterday, the one that was talking about the lawsuits and all that kind of thing, has a couple of video tutorials in there about the tokens if you want to learn how they work and how you get them. And it actually has the links to where you can go in there and purchase some. Okay. So that's about the length of my knowledge on the tokens. That is a relatively new program, probably 30 days or maybe 30 days or so. Wouldn't you say that's about right, Donna?
Probably. Yep. Hey,
Yeah.
Bill, I'm going to step away for just a second. I need to get my charger. So I've stopped sharing so you can pull up Broker Bay and Showing Time if you want.
Okay, I will. I
Right
can't
back.
show them Broker Bay because, well, the homie don't play that.
You not use it? Are you not using Broker
So-
Bay?
Well, I'm sorry, Donna.
Are you not using Broker Bay?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so start with Showing
But
Time.
I'm going to talk about it. I'm going
Okay,
to talk
I'll-
about it. Maybe you talk about Broker Bay, and anybody wants to know anything about Showing Time, I'll talk to them.
Well, you go ahead and start with Showing Time because I've got to run. For
Okay.
some reason, I did not put my charger in here and I need to get my charger. So I'll be right back.
Okay, you do that. All right. So, let's see here. Yeah. Let me see. Is this not my screen? I think it is. Oh, it's not. Let's see here. Did I get it? Okay, good. Let's see here. I'm going to go. So as you all may or may not know, some of you newer people, we have the East Tennessee Realtors supported showing scheduler for scheduling showings on our listing is a program called Broker Bay. We've been using Broker Bay for about, what would you say, 6 months? Is that about right? 6 months, maybe? Yeah, it feels like years. So as I say, that's the one that is sponsored or supported or whatever, endorsed by the association. some people love it and some people don't love it as much. We're very lucky that the company, worked out a deal that those who don't love it as much could use the program that we used before, which is called Showing Time. That was the showing schedule that we had used for what, Patty, 10 years or 8 years, whatever,
Before-
prior to Broker Bay. Yeah, so I mean, we don't need to go too terribly far into the backstory. Showing Time is owned by Zillow, as is Dotloop, which we're in every single day. And I think the association is very intimidated by that. And so they started looking for alternatives, and the alternative they came up with was Broker Bay. Okay, so I think, everybody went to Broker Bay or whatever. Some agents were having issues and just couldn't find a good comfort level with Broker Bay. So the company made the arrangement that we could have Showing Time back as a showing scheduler if we choose to. For us, that means $15 a month. For me, that means $15 a month because I chose to go back to Showing Time. I had a really good comfort level with Showing Time. I know how to put all my stuff into Showing Time with great ease, and never had any issues with my appointments getting set or my notifications coming out. And I think that's probably, I'm not here to dog Broker Bay because it's actually, it's the one that's supported by the association. It's the one that probably most people are using. But access to both Broker Bay and Showing Time can be either directly at their websites, brokerbay.com or showingtime.com, or through the MLS. So if you click on one of my listings and you want to show one of my listings, you'll see at the top of my listing in the MLS the link to Showing Time. So when you go in there to schedule a showing on one of my listings, you'll click that and it's going to take you into the Showing Time app and show you the availability calendar, and you can schedule your appointment that way. And then, you'll get your notifications. Same thing with Broker Bay. I jumped off of Broker Bay pretty quickly, so I'm probably not the best Broker Bay advocate in the entire world because I just didn't use it enough to, really get super comfortable with it. It had, when they brought it around to talk about it, it had some really great features that sounded really, really good. And I'm sure they will be really good. Just didn't work for me. So again, if your front office can take care, if you want to be a Showing Time user, all you have to do is tell your front office. If you want to be a Broker Bay user, which I think is what's going to be the standard, that's what you'll be signed up for you new people originally, unless you go to them and say, hey, I think I'd prefer to use Showing Time. And what I would say to you new people that don't have a clue either way, get with some of the experienced people and talk about what experiences they've had, and figure out for yourself which one you like. So I just feel fortunate. I'm sorry, Donna.
I was going to say, I think sometimes, and for new agents, it's about budgeting. And this is definitely offered to you for free. I think that was another big thing that a lot of brokerages were paying quite a bit of money for Showing Time for their agents. And then when the offering to go to Broker Bay being paid for by the association instead, I think that was a huge, huge selling point to a lot of companies. And so, we started out using Broker Bay, and like Bill said, there's a lot of things that I miss about Showing Time. I'm still one of those undecided people. I'm using Broker Bay still because if I have to schedule a showing and the other agent's still using Broker Bay, I still got to know how to use Broker Bay. But Bill, if you will log in there to your Showing Time, one of the things I do miss about Showing Time is the reports. There's a lot of reports there on the left side that you can click on for your sellers. You can even kind of like scroll down to target market analysis. Okay. I really loved this report when everybody was using Showing Time because I could actually put into it like a property that I might have listed. And then if there were other competing listings in that price point, and that agent was using Showing Time, it actually would show me the showing agents on those properties. So And that was really super helpful. And some people went, wow, that's a little, that gave a lot of information. But I mean, for me, like I had a little 2-bedroom, 1-bath house in Maryville City, and I could not figure out why it was not showing. And then I looked at other properties with that same square footage, and they were showing like crazy. So I was actually able to pick up the phone and call the agents who had shown that property and say, okay, you're showing this 900 square foot house in this price point. Why are you not showing mine? And they were like, well, you were a 2-bedroom and those were a 3-bedroom. And I was like, wow, that made that much of a difference to people. So there's some good insight on some of these reports. If you've
Yeah.
got a real analytical seller, the reports there for feedback and activity on their showings is a pretty helpful.
Yeah, and any of us that were in the business a year ago probably had that listing, in the spring or summer that I had one in Maryville that I put it on the market on a Thursday evening, and between Thursday evening and noon on Monday, I had 89 showings and 19 contracts on paper. And I mean, I really, the calendar was so overloaded that I needed to have a printout that I could look at and see who was going, when, or when it was scheduled and when it was not. And, just for the sake of my little 80-year-old sellers, the reports that I was able to generate out of showing time from the report stuff were really, really helpful for them. So that's one of the things that I like about showing time. Again, if you want to use showing time, you're going to have to pay a small fee per month. It's $15 for each of us. If as Donna says, if you're on a budget, Broker Bay is absolutely free. It's part of our dues package. So you choose what's best for you. If you want to talk about showing time, call me. If you are using showing time and you have questions, or you want help, or you want me to help you go through how to configure a listing in there, whatever, call me anytime, because I'll help you with showing time. I'm just not as good. I can't do Broker Bay as well. You'll have to talk to somebody that's using it every day.
And I'm going to show them
At
that.
some point, we're all going to have to use them both, because if you're a Broker Bay lister, I'm going to have to make my appointments through Broker Bay to show your listing. That's fine. I mean, I can do that. That's fine. I just, for me, I have more comfortable with the notifications that came back to me through showing time. And that's why I made that choice. Donna, go ahead. You were getting ready to say something.
I was going to try to move this out of the way so I could get to Broker Bay and show you guys. So, no, I don't want Broker Homestack. What in the world?
Go into the MLS.
Yeah, I started to do that. I was just going to see if I could log in.
There it is.
Here. So Broker Bay, like he said, you can log into Broker Bay, or you can go through the MLS, and I'll show you that in just a second. But you can see, like, if I go to this particular listing, this one's now closed. This is one of the things I've not understood yet, but it just has a different looking dashboard here. And I hate when this gets in the way. Okay. So when I'm going into this, so when I first list a property and it shows up in my listings, once I go in, I can edit it and hit continue. And I can go up here to the showing configuration and set up the way that my showings, how I want them to be. One of the cool things I love about Broker Bay is, like, if your client says, I don't want to show on Friday afternoons from this time to this time, like, you can literally click on those and restrict those time periods, or you can literally turn the whole day off. Nobody can show it on Saturday. So there's some really cool stuff that you do here. And they've got some analytics too, but I haven't dove into that to see how all their stuff is. But you can also go in and set up feedback templates. One of the things I hated about Broker Bay in the original, when we first started using this, is I didn't really know how to use the template manager to ask for feedback. And it basically, the feedback said, do you like the listing? Are you going to make an offer? What do you think about the price? And there was no room for anybody to expand on that information. So I have to say I stole the feedback template from Jess Self, because she had a great feedback template. So I stole that, and now that goes out to my showing agents.
Right.
As I show a property. But let me go to
and both of the programs, Showing Time and Broker Bay, you can do that with both of them. You can configure your feedback template. I did it in Showing Time. You know, the feedback request that I always hated was, here's a box, give us your feedback. I hate that. So I went in there and kind of made mine like 3 or 4 questions, multiple choice, you know, or where they could choose whether they liked it a lot, they didn't, whatever. What do you think of the price? You can configure that on both those programs. I did that in Showing Time for myself.
So you'll see if someone's looking at my listing and they need to schedule a showing, right here's the Broker Bay tab. Bill, do you have a listing right now?
Not an active one. They're all
Let me
either pending
see,
or closed.
Aaron Fowler would have one because he's even Showing Time again. Let's see if I can find Fowler.
Yeah.
There we go. Just to show you the difference. I know Aaron is one that definitely wanted to go back to Showing Time.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, I meant to go the other way. There we go. Okay, so Whitehall, you can see instead right there is the Showing Time. Link.
And go down into the body of the listing and show them where it also shows what showing service they use.
Okay, you know, this is where you would schedule those showings, but let me go back to, so he's saying down here, it actually
down,
say
right down there. Yeah, you see it will tell you which showing service you've got.
right here,
And you'll see whether it's Broker Bay or whatever.
or phone numbers, yeah.
So,
It's
you
a
know,
little-
if you try to schedule a showing on something and, you know, Broker Bay says, we don't know what you're talking about, then you probably need to go back and check. It's probably a Showing Time one, and vice versa.
But it should
that
line
happened-
up. It should
That
line
happened a
up
time
with
or
the
two when I
MLS.
switched back over.
Yep, I was,
On the showings, they'll have down in the listing part. it'll
On,
have-
in the body of the listing.
Yeah.
Yeah, go
it'll
back in the
have
body of the listing.
Showing.
right here, Showing Service.
Showing time,
Yeah,
and then the number.
right.
Sometimes people put showing time, but they put the Realty Executives showing number, that 983
That's
5757 or
or
something.
8787.
Yeah. where
So
does that go?
9838787 was Showing Times
Okay,
number for all of us company wide
Okay, so
until
can you-
Broker Bay came along and they gave that number to Broker Bay.
oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
So
This-
make sure if you put your own listings here, make sure you're putting the correct.
Correct showing
Yeah, the
number.
correct.
Yeah, 'cause
showing
I've
number
done that.
for Showing Time.
I've seen that, tried to show some
Yeah.
properties and.
I've actually, at the office, I've got it on a sticky on there because I haven't memorized that number yet. And I'm always afraid, I mean, it's just habit to go in
Right.
there and put 9838787.
Yeah.
Because I did it for years and years. But anyway,
Okay.
it's a different phone number and
Okay.
that's exactly why
That's
you
the
had
reason.
the issue
Yeah,
that
'cause
you're
I
talking
call
about.
it and Broker Base or Showing Time's like. No, they don't have-
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you do get that response in trying to schedule a show, and that probably you've got the wrong showing service. So just check the other one. Donna, what are you working on?
Well,
There.
I was looking to see, because a second ago a note popped up and I have not read it. Oh, here it is. This was the note that message that popped up this morning. Well, if I can get it to all members, you now have the ability to unlock a box and release a shackle directly through the Broker Bay mobile app. Prior to getting started, please uninstall Broker Bay app. Anyway, this is where, did y'all go over the message center, Bill? Like sometimes.
No, we talked about the Flex, but we didn't really go over the message center other than the help menu.
Yeah, so a lot of times you'll open up your Flex and this message will pop up, you move it on and then you go, where did I see that at? This is the message center. This will show you all the messages. Like this one came out, I guess a couple of days ago, that said, hey, we're going to have to
It did.
reset the password. So this is kind of important notes to be, looking at. There's the single access tokens. Anyway, just keep an eye on these messages that pop up. But if you close that message out and you're like, oh crap, where do I find that message? If you click on this MLS versus the home, you can click on the MLS screen and you will find those message boards and those messages.
Yeah.
All right.
I wish we could put that message center on our homepage, but I don't guess you can.
When they have the E key, the super key tied to Broker Bay, where only the person scheduling the showing can unlock the box. What if it's a team situation where one person might book the show and another person might show up?
Okay, so in a deal like that, you know, whoever's gonna be opening the box is gonna have to have a membership and it's gonna have to have the capacity to do that. We're not supposed to let
Right, I'm saying.
unlicensed people use our code to get in and,
With everyone licensed.
Yeah.
Like if my wife goes to my team member.
right.
If she books a showing, when she's done for me many times, and then I go show it.
Mhm.
So my key is not the same as hers.
No, that's true, but you have a code through Supra that allows you to access the blue eye boxes. Okay, so the eye box is gonna recognize that it was you that opened it, not your wife.
Right, the integration is supposed to only let the person scheduling the show.
Oh, well, I see what he's saying. I see what he's
So-
asking. Donna,
so-
did you hear that?
Yeah, and so one of the things I think people fail to realize is when you're scheduling those showings, you can schedule it on behalf of someone else. Like, I mean, Bill may call me up and I can go in and I can schedule and choose Bill as the showing agent. I think part of the problem is when teams are doing this, like, I want to know who's walking in that house. So it's a little frustrating to me. Like if you're going to schedule it and your wife's going to show it, you need to schedule it in your wife's name, because I want to know. It's always frustrating to me with teams, because I may say, hey, I may call that person that showed it and she's like, I didn't show it. That was so-and-so. Well, don't schedule it that way. Cause I feel like, if I want to communicate something I want to communicate it to the agent that's actually walked through the door. So, one, I get if maybe one of you gets busy and you're like, oh, it's going to be me instead. Well, take a second, cancel that showing and reschedule it in the other person's name. But I think it's important that you schedule it with who is actually walking through that door. And a lot of people don't realize that even with Showing Time or with Broker Bay, you can schedule it on behalf of someone else. It doesn't have to be you.
Okay, I agree with everything you said. I think his question ultimately is if he makes the appointment, his wife goes to show, will Broker Bay allow her to open the box? Am I right?
And I think that's a no if I have it configured to where I think it's going to give me an option to configure it where if you don't have a scheduled appointment, you
You
won't be able to
can.
open it.
Either of the apps make it pretty easy to go in there and either cancel a showing and you can reschedule right on the
What
spot.
if you just go in and edit the show?
I don't know about editing. Can you edit a showing in either
I
one
don't
of
think
those,
you can
Donna?
edit. I don't think you can edit the agent that's showing.
I agree. I don't think you can. I don't think you
And that'll
can.
be more that we can learn as we go along, because it's not a feature yet for us.
Right.
All right, let's get to
Okay.
Wolf.
We've both pontificated about showing services. Let's talk about something else real quick.
Okay.
Donna, yeah, you're gonna talk about Lone Wolf. We don't have to spend a whole lot of time talking about Lone Wolf.
Yeah, and I have no idea why this is not like in my logins. Okay, Lone Wolf we used to use more. It really, before Prime Agent and International got so involved, Lone Wolf was our main company's back office.
Communication system.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And so there's still some features there that you could use. If you log in here, it usually keeps up with birthdays. And like you can see, Billings had a birthday on August 2nd. You can see anniversaries for working with Realty Executive so many years. So it'll give that information. But the main
If your front office sends you out a message of some kind, just anything, a reminder about training, an open house, whatever, anything that's coming from your front office or from the front desk is probably coming to you through Lone Wolf.
Yeah.
It's where you're probably sending that out.
So I'm logged in to my Lone Wolf, and you can see these are all of the messages that have been paged out to us. So there was a message about our MIG training yesterday. So, sometimes we'll get that where there'll be a message that comes out and says, hey, does anybody have anything coming up in Alcoa City? And then, you don't have anything, you don't think about it. And then 3 days later, you're like, oh, somebody was looking for an Alcoa City. you can actually go back and review the messages that were sent out within your office here at Lone Wolf. To me, the biggest thing, the absolute biggest thing that we use Lone Wolf for is for our agent earnings history and our production, our expenses. So this is a tool that we use when you're preparing your taxes. Now, I will say,
handy at tax time.
yep. Mark Condis in January will always send out a spreadsheet for those who don't know how to find this. But sometimes when I'm paying my quarterlies and I'm just trying to make sure I'm in line, I'll pull up agent earnings history and go, okay, what did I sell from January to March? About what do I need to be putting aside for my quarterly tax payments? So you can look at it that way if you just want to say, sometimes I go in here and compare what did I make between January and June of last year versus January to June of this year? So I'm just kind of think like that sometimes. So like, I'm probably going to go, okay, what did I make? What was my production in last, fourth quarter last year? So I will go into those transactions and put those dates in. I can put in the dates from like September to December and just kind of do those report details. And you can set it for last year versus, there's all different kinds of things that you can do under this transaction tab. So really that's about all we use this for anymore. Whereas it used to be a way bigger website that we use. And it's got a weird website. It's REA 848-connect.globalwolfweb.com.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to want to just, I don't even think Bill wrote that one on our little note sheet, but the front office can give it to you, or we can, if you want to email us that, we can get it. I literally have my desktop set up with Dave Knox, Wolf Connect, Prime Agent, any of the websites that I go to, I have quick links on my desktop for those, or saved up in here in my, in my favorites. So.
And Don was right. Back before we had dot loop and all of our messages, we used to use this way more for messaging. But gosh, I hardly ever use it other than for that very specific thing that you said is I'm doing my taxes and I need to do a printout of either my earnings stuff or my expense sheets. Which that monthly expense sheet that you get from Mark, you can get a list of those on there. So
yeah. All right. Bill, I can't see your face. I need to see your face.
I don't want you. Nobody wants to see my face.
Pull that screen down.
Hold on, I need the screen back real quick.
Where do you want to go? Realty Executives relocation? You've got access to the screen.
Yeah.
You should be able to. Unless
Is that me? Oh yeah, okay. Let's see here. All right, so let's just talk about our relocation division just for a second. So you guys that aren't in the Maryville office, you Maryville guys, we have a little in-house communication thing called Band where we just shoot messages back and forth for just Maryville or whatever. It just drives me absolutely crazy. I must get it once or twice a day. Hey, does somebody know a good agent in Chattanooga? And the answer to the question is no, but our relocation department does. And all you have to do is reach out to them. Let me just tell you, our relocation department, Karen Berkey, Denise Howard, they do a great job of locating agents for you to make a referral to in another part of the country. Okay. So in my experience has always been when I used to always pick up the CRS directory and look and find a CRS in Boise, Idaho, and just call somebody at random and say, hey, you want a referral? And try to do that myself. And you were always able to negotiate 20 or 25% referral fee, on a buyer client or whatever. Well, Denise and Karen usually at a minimum negotiate a 35% referral fee for you. And they do all the work. They contact the agent, they take all the client information, make sure that the agent has it, and then they start communicating back to you on it. So, when the next time you need a agent referral in some other part of the country, even if it's just like Johnson City, Tennessee, or somebody, whatever, unless you have a friend or know somebody, if you know no one, call our relocation department and let them find one for you. They do it really, really quickly. Okay. And they get really, really good agents. I think they're always probably going to start with Realty Executives agents, but they may not be able to find one in every single area. So you might, who knows who you're going to get. But usually, when I send them one to do, I'll have an agent that will call me probably within 30 minutes and say, hey, I'm glad to take your referral. They negotiate the fee. I never even have to talk to the other agent about the fee, but I can promise you, it's always more than was able to negotiate myself. So, you know, it's really nice. I have a cousin that's being relocated with the military to San Antonio, Texas. I give the information to Karen or to Denise. They've handled it all. And just one day a check pops up in my, you know, for a closing, you know, and
Now,
it's a
if-
35% referral.
All
So-
of you, or do they keep part of?
They keep what is it, Don? I think they keep an administrative just fee of maybe, I don't want to misspeak.
It's $500, I think, and it
Yeah, it
used.
is. I was thinking it was $500 for that, you know, but you know, hey, if you're making 35% on a $600,000 sale, you can take $500
Happily.
every day on that from me. You know, I'm glad to do it. So, you know, rather than trying to figure out if somebody knows somebody in Timbuktu, just remember we've got a really great referral department. Their website is the one that you're looking at right there. It's relocatingtn.com. Relocatingtn.com. And once you go in,
I don't-
there's
I'm not.
oops.
I'm not seeing, I'm not seeing your screen is, I don't think the
Okay,
Zoom.
hold on.
Seeing.
Hold on. Oops.
I think you're mirroring, but I'm not sure. Are you guys on Zoom seeing? There we go.
Are you seeing it now?
Yep. Now we are.
Yeah, okay. Okay. All right. So let's see where.
I will say too, you know, I had a client I sold them their house. They were relocating to Cookeville a couple of months ago, and they wanted to use me, but they also wanted to utilize their relocation benefits. And one of the benefits is the relocation paid for the commission, you know? So, originally when they asked me to do this, it's a lot of work because it was Serva. It was not just it was not a referral. It was a relocation department referral. And so there was a lot of work. Bill can tell you, I might have shed some tears because it was just during kind of a stressful time for me. And I was struggling with my computer working with their system, but Denise was just such a godsend to help me. And they were wanting to do it at 5%. I know we don't talk commissions. I was like, listen, on this much work, this is what it's worth to me. It's got to be this. She was able to negotiate the commission for me with the reload that was acceptable to me. And then, you know, again, she helped me through the whole process. And I can remember back in the day when I started this, my last server relocation was 31% to Serva, or no, 41% to Serva, and then split the difference with Realty Executives 50-50. That one, if that had been today, I probably wouldn't have done it again, but she was able to get me 31% to Serva. So I had to pay the relocation company 31% and then only 500 to Realty Executives, but I couldn't have done it without Denise. And
Right.
just
John, I'm going back to the Prime Agent page for just a second, just to show them.
where that referral,
Let's see here.
right over there to the,
Yeah. Okay, so I've gone back to Prime Agent. I just wanted y'all to see that you can submit an outgoing referral to Denise and to Karen off of the Prime Agent page if you want to do it that way. This one over here is, you can fill out the form. I'll be honest with you, I'm quite lazy. I pick up the phone and I call Denise and go, I got one for you. And she says, give me the information. I give it to her, and that's the end of that. Okay, but again, they just do a really, really good job. And they're there to do that for us. So rather than beating your head against the wall trying to find an agent somewhere far off, let them do that for you and see if you don't get paid more than what you could negotiate. Donna, anything else about Reload that you want to talk about?
no, I'm going to skip over really quick to Dot Loop. Let me get up here, move things around again. So we want to talk a little bit about the hub. What is the hub? The hub is our compliance center. So Realty Executives has a team behind the scenes that whenever you do paperwork,
Anything.
whenever you're doing a contract or you're doing a listing,
Listing.
they are going to go in and they're going to keep you from getting sued. They're going to make sure that all of your documentation is signed and dated correctly. And if you've left something out or if something doesn't match up from your listing to what's in the MLS, they're there to keep you compliant. So you can see in this particular listing of or this particular, I'm sorry, contract, this is not my listing, but this was a contract I wrote. When I submitted for review, they put this checklist in, and you can see that I have everything that I need. If not, it would literally be, get this out of the way. It would be listed up here, and they can even put in red what I need. But that checklist is locked. All that I need now is just my closing things. So if I go to another loop, let's see, my Eastwood, I've submitted this one for review or not submitted for review. Up, see, here we go. So here's one that I need to submit for review. It went live this morning, and I'm going to clean this up a little bit. But when I go to submit this one for review, I'm going to click on submit for review, and I'm going to choose my listing folder, make it a listing for sale, and say listed this one this morning, and I'll hit submit. I need to tweak a couple of things before I'm ready to send it over, but once I do that, they will put a checklist in down here that's locked, like what I showed you a few minutes ago. So I always tell people in the Dot Loop class, the hub is kind of like God. They're always going to be in your loop. They can have access at any time. They never look at it. The only time that they actually look at it is when you put the red flag up by hitting submit for review. And that's the only time. They just have way too many things to look at. They're not going to be looking into your loops. But you will, when you submit for review, you are submitting an entire folder, not a single document. So they know how to look through that. Don't ever archive a folder and then, or submit something for review and then archive the folder, because then they don't see that it's archived. So make sure if you're doing a closing and you submit your closing paperwork for review, don't archive it or move it to the sold position until they've reviewed it and given you your checklist. So hopefully that helps. The only extras that we have on here is I do want to talk about podcasts. You have so many, this is an overview of all the things that REA, that the association, that NAR, that TAR provide for us. And then there's always those extra things like, how do you want to educate yourself beyond what your company and your industry provides? And a lot of you guys are probably on Instagram or watch TikTok videos of great selling and marketing things on TikTok for real estate agents. But podcasts have become a big thing that I like to listen to. Probably my number one podcast is the Center of Realtor Development podcast. It's an NAR podcast. And ironically, the lady who does that podcast is a Tennessean. Monica Neubauer. She's a great trainer. And there will be different topics each time that you look on that podcast. That is where I first heard about the whole NAR DOJ lawsuit and the changes coming about with the buyer's agency and things like that. Lee Brown is kind of a hot spot. Some people don't like her in our association. Some people don't like her in our company. She's still one of my favorites because I think she tells it like it is. Her podcast is Crazy Shit in Real Estate with Lee Brown, and she's hysterical. I think she's hysterical. Lee has actually been in the news the past couple of weeks because the New York Times interviewed her, and she was a little bit forthcoming with some things, and I think she hurt some people's feelings. And, I noticed on her Instagram page, she came on there this week and she was absolutely bawling like a baby, sending out an apology because, right now times are tough for agents in the change and with the political temperament across our country, it's kind of crazy. So you may not like Lee. This is not Bill and Donna telling you that you should listen to Lee Brown or not listen to Lee Brown. I just find people, when we did this class, somebody asked me one time, will you list your favorites? So those are some of my favorites. The other thing that I do want to note, and I think Bill probably talked to you about that, Lyle Irish, he is our CEO for East Tennessee Realtors. He sends out a bi-weekly, he sends it out every 2 weeks, an email. That should be flagged. You all should be reading Lyle's email every week that it comes out. The other thing that I think is important is look for the digest, the TAR digest, because it talks about things that are going on at the state level and what's important to our industry. And it also, one of the cool things about TAR Digest is they take the actual lawsuits and the actual complaints that the Tennessee Association of Realtors, that our commission hears, and they will put those questions and those answers there too. But they also, if you don't know it, there is a hotline. So if you feel like someone has wronged you, or if you have a question about whether something's a law or whether it's in our code of ethics, you can call into the hotline and you can get put your question there and they'll give you an answer. Here's the warning. If you're complaining about your broker, every time an agent calls into the TAR hotline, their broker gets a copy of that. Okay. So I'm just, maybe if you have a problem with your broker, you should go to your broker first, but just a heads up, if you go make that complaint to the TAR hotline or that question to the TAR hotline about how something's being done, your broker will get a copy of it. But TAR Digest is a really good tool too. So, I think in the last 3 years, and I say this kindly, but I feel like in the last 3 years, a lot of people have gotten into this industry because it wasn't very difficult to sell a home, especially not in East Tennessee. And we're not saying that's changing, but I am saying you need to be well in tune to what your association's doing and what's going on in the industry, because it does affect what's going on with what you're doing and what you're going to do in the future. I was RPAC chair the last 2 years, and I kind of get on a little soapbox about that, but we went and defeated impact fees. Guys, if impact fees had been approved at the state level, that would have changed our entire business on new construction and affordability. And we all know how hard it is right now for housing affordability. So if you don't know about RPAC, you don't know what's going on with governmental affairs, Hanson, our governmental affairs guy, he does a great job of keeping us in tune to what's going on in the industry. And I think that's a super, super part of your job, not just opening up doors, not just selling people houses or listing houses, but home ownership and the rights to home ownership and affordability. It's going to be big in the next few years. I truly feel like. So I'll get off my soapbox now. Any questions? Does anybody,
Grace,
somebody.
something.
Can you repeat the podcast that you were talking about?
Yeah, the podcast for NAR is Center of Realtor Development Podcast, and it's taught by Monica Neubauer. And then Lee Brown's it's Crazy Shot and Real Estate with Lee Brown.
And Lee is Leigh.
Leigh. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of good podcasts, but those are just, like I said, those are just some of my favorites.
Okay.
All right.
Anybody got questions? Everybody signed in here, and we got the names of the ones that were online with us.
All right, that's down.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, there's that. Okay. Well, everybody, thanks for coming. Yeah, I hope you got a little something out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned a lot. You can't teach them.
Well, we appreciate you being here and hope you have a good week. Thanks for
You
coming.
guys.
Thank you.
All right, Donnie, can you unzoom us?